and Joe on the afternoon show. We're back. You're right. It's not technically an all-time high in Apple. I probably said it wrong this morning because all-time high close basis, and the highest price that you've got to are two different things. Apple has ultimately done the former, although the latter has yet to happen. So Apple still trying to get through that actual top wick on the daily chart, whereas Nvidia is a bit of a different story. It's done both of those things, whether it's a closing basis or just a high wick. It's done both. So there's still some levels out there on Apple that I think have to break a little bit, but certainly a strong day. The overall market, oddly enough, through all that only just went green maybe, I don't know, a couple of minutes ago. Although it's been relatively flat for the NASDAQ, the ES is going the other way. And Bitcoin just lost VWAP. All right, IBIT just lost VWAP. I'm going to get quickly over to Mara. Mara is trying to make a bit of a trend break. Just what's going to happen for me in a couple of seconds here is looking for an entry into Mara as IBIT just lost VWAP here, and you're getting a bit of a trend reversal here on Mara. So crypto was weak most of the day, caught a little bit of a bid. Don't like the fact that they lost VWAP. Remember, Bitcoin's been weak all day long. It's been a strong day for some things and not everything. That's to be sure. Speaking specifically for some of the chip names, obviously you've had Bitcoin and their leg to the downside. Chinese ADRs have been weak as well. But a bit of a reversal happening right now on BTC specifically. Be careful if you're in like MSTR, which was churning.
What's up, everybody? Yeah, how's everybody doing? It's afternoon time. We're really excited. We've still got that $2 winner there on Nvidia. Again, we had it a couple times. We'll be talking about a few different names, but I mean, primarily be Nvidia. And then we also have a nice little trade here on the futures as we initially went short there over VWAP and trying to figure out if we were going to hold this 74.50 level, and then bang to the upside right now at 20,500 looking to get taken out. That's been the high here in the midday. So we'll see if we can take that out right there. 20,500. We are now out of 2/3 of this trade on the reload. So made it all back and more right there for this name. So yeah, so far so good here. Nvidia, I mean, we could start taking some more out. We've been taking out on the way up. I mean, this is it once, 3 times reloaded. I mean, I keep showing the same thing over and over again, but I mean, it's right on there, 140. So good. We all have it there. So big trade alert. You'll find them posted at Trader TV, Sean. Yeah, the other channel, Marshall, is getting worked on right now. So we'll have to hold off on recommending you go over there. Yeah.
Get that work.
Don't get me started, Ramin. Yeah, they're working really, really hard on it. So there we go. All right, Sharif, ready to go. He's at the desk. You're muted. Well, you can just figure it out.
I mean,
right there. We'll go to Sharif right now. Hope he is unmuted.
Welcome to the Afternoon Rundown, the show where you decide what we talk about every afternoon. Neil and Sean locked and loaded. They're ready to look at the tickers as decided by you guys. But make sure to join us during the midday show and get into that chat and vote for your favorite tickers. But it's a subs-only chat, so you got to be subscribed. And make sure to hit that like button, too. The NQ, there it is, essentially flat, up 0.07%. The ES down about 0.25%. The Dow about 0.75%. And the Russ really taking it on the chin today as we unwind off that rotation trade, down about 1.25% right now. But as the first ticker decided by you guys, Sofi, good day, up over 2%. This is the headline. Joe Biden extends the student loan repayment by 6 months for 8 million users. I thought that would have a negative effect on Sofi because they do student loan refinancing, guys.
Sofi, so good. I don't know. I don't have
Sofi, the stock that was on the board there. Ramin, let's put that board up so we can see what stock is number 1 on the board.
Sofi, so good. Look, Sofi, obviously we've been, there was news on Robinhood that I don't think we talked about this morning. Well, they opened up their margin trading in Europe, so good for them. Every time Sofi comes up, I just try to remind myself that Robinhood did those things that it did. But Sofi, love the fact that we got the next resistance on the daily chart. So, all of you $7, I call it bag holding because the market did better, but technically speaking, if you don't lose on something, I guess it's not really bag holding. But relative to like what else would have returned, it's been holding the $7 area. Well, there's your 1050, pretty much exactly where it got to today. a double top here on the daily and on the 15-minute, as you will see for SoFi. So a bit of a reversion happening on SoFi, which makes sense. I mean, I think it's healthy for it to get to a level like that on the daily chart and then pull right back in. I think key hold will be about that $10 area. That was the most recent support for SoFi. I said, well, I'm pretty sure I mentioned this last time, you know, if we got to that 1050 level and tested it, that, you know, I would take some out of my personal account. I did that the last time we were here. I've done nothing to it since. So, you know, probably going to try to find somewhere to put that money to work. But SoFi took forever to get to this level. I think a healthy pullback wouldn't be terrible. Holding on to $10, I think, is going to be key for the next leg to the upside, if it has one.
All right, SoFi here. Yeah, look, I'm still in this name. I haven't sold anything on this. Obviously, it continues to make some moves higher here. Great little rally. I feel like it's probably time to do some sale on this, but we'll just have to wait to see what happens. You're up at this level again. Look, we sold Alibaba at 117.50, right? We sold Disney at 120 and change. At some point, despite where it comes from, you got to get out. So SoFi right here, probably at that level. You know, we sold Roblox at that $44, $45 level. There's always going to be reload opportunities and everything. I mean, see Nvidia for the day. You know, we've recently bought some Uber. We bought some XBI. I think I'm about time to sell some SoFi here, up 2%. Remember, the agenda is a little political, obviously, as we continue to have support maybe on one aisle for the loans and then not on the other. And I think Biden just like forgave a bunch of loans there in the social, for those working in Social Security, I think it was, or I'm not sure what it was. But anyways, you guys would know more than me. But SoFi, I think, is a sale.
All right, the next here, Coinbase didn't really have much of a catalyst today, aside from Brian Armstrong, the CEO, endorsing a Republican candidate. We've seen some of this as you know, the market takes a position on which party is pro-crypto and which is not. We were up big this morning on Bitcoin as we knocked on the door of 70,000, but it's been a sell type of day, and that's caused Coinbase guys to go now 3.5% in the red.
Yeah, like it's not a great day for coin, but if you look at it from a 15-minute or a daily chart, really all you did is give up Friday's move, pretty much almost to the T here. Like the opening low was 208. The current low of the day is 208 on Coinbase. Doesn't have the same high, but you kind of get the idea as to what happened here. We always talk about, like, or is it a healthy pullback, whatever you want to call it. There was another, for the umpteenth time, failed break of this trend high on Bitcoin. And this is sort of the thing. Like, the thing about something breaking out is you're not obliged to be in it until it actually happens. Like, the support levels and the dip buys have been the way to go when it comes to BTC. And really, until we actually hold above this trend, it just again failed on this weekend. I don't think you're going to be looking for that buy high, sell higher just yet. I think you're waiting for the next inevitable dip. 60 was the level we bounced last time. I mean, 62.5 was a decent one. For Coinbase, as I said, all you did is really retrace Friday's trade. And if you come back to the daily chart, the 200 period sits at essentially $200. That was a nice consolidation point last week. I think a reasonable pullback level can get you into that 200 period moving average if we're going to go dips in BTC off that failed break on the weekend. So yeah, that 200 period moving average looks like a nice little spot for things to settle down here on Coinbase. You know, Bitcoin will taking its time to break through that top, but that's going to give some opportunities for some dip buys.
All right, just getting some out here on the TQQs. We won't be talking too much about the market there, but as a fallback in there, we will start to get more and more out here as we break below the 50-period moving average into 74.60 right there for the TQQs. I wanted to bring to everybody's attention everybody. Hold on a second here. All right, I want to bring to everybody's attention this CONL. This is something that I've been looking at recently off of a lesser price for Coinbase and double the move. So CONL should be on everybody's radar, in my opinion anyways, as you look for some more opportunities to trade. So CONL is something that I'm going to be looking at moving forward here instead of Coin. But I mean, I like both. And again, it just matters on what you're doing, right? I mean, you got to judge the position, judge everything. And I actually had a conversation. I always have the conversation with my wife, but I'll actually, let's run through this and then we can let Sharif get out of here and then I'll start telling some more stories. All right, let's go over to Tesla, speak about my wife.
Excited to hear this story, Sean. I wanted to hear it. Tesla, yes, 1.7 in the negative, essentially at the day's low right now, really bleeding. No specific news catalyst, but we know that they are reporting earnings Wednesday after the bell. Make sure to be with us on the market recap show. For that, we'll bring that to you, obviously, live. Elon Musk was campaigning with Donald Trump on the weekend, and he was asked by a campaign attendee whether or not he'd be interested in buying Rivian, to which he scoffed, sarcastically, that he wasn't interested in buying them and that, he wished them well, but that only 2 U.S. car manufacturers had not gone bankrupt until this point, being Ford and Tesla. GM obviously taking that bailout during the great financial crisis. So, yeah, Tesla down about 1 2/3, guys.
Now, there's in an effort to be a little bit more accurate, Elon was incorrect in that statement because Rivian hasn't gone bankrupt. Now, obviously, I'm sure what he meant was companies that have ever, probably like companies that have ever turned a profit or something along those lines. They got to a certain level of maturity. U.S. car companies that have gotten to a certain level of maturity, maybe it's profitability. I have no idea. Those have all at least gone bankrupt at some point, with the exception of Tesla and Ford. So I get what he's getting at. Rivian didn't flat bottom break it today, so there's nothing to talk about for that name, and Tesla is never going to buy. I just couldn't see it happening. Why would they buy Rivian? It doesn't even make a lot of sense. But Tesla, look, it just didn't get up to the resistance all week long last week. It was essentially one resistance spot, and it was like 222-ish, maybe like a little bit above that price. It seemed in the morning there was going to be a test of that level. I was kind of getting a little bit convinced of it when the market was strong, and Tesla just did not have the juice to be able to get to 222. Now, obviously, they report on Wednesday, and when they do, I'm guessing we're not going to be trading in this same range, 215 into the 50-period moving average. I think it's pretty, like the 200-period moving average and that $200 is going to be a pretty nice line in the sand for us to see how we're doing. After Elon gives some answers on the robotaxi event and sort of how things are going with maybe upgrading the fleet or getting a cheaper model in there. That's what people are going to want to hear. I think there's a decent chance, one way or another, just based on the way the stock is trading, that because you couldn't even get to the top of the range on a strong day for a lot of names, we're going to see that 200-period moving average. Until then, it's still a very range-bound trade in Tesla. I guess maybe considering moving some of that goalpost as to where it's a short after this morning. Although one day isn't enough to tell you that that's not the best place to do it. It was up at 222. Like there was a day last week where you didn't get a chance to short off that, and it was 220 again. The next day it tested that 222, and then it was 4 days in a row off that same level. So I think until it gets out and above that 222, it's a short to me where you're waiting for that $200 level to come in for us next.
Like I already mentioned Tesla here. I think it's a long. I think it's a long into the earnings. I mean, I like the stock. We talked about that. I mean, there's the move back up there. I didn't have it on the sticky note today because I did think it was a long, although the market was a short, and we sort of talked about that. Now the market's a long, and we're hitting that. And all right, 220 and change right there for Tesla. I mean, I think if it gets back up to there for today, it would be a short. But I really think that this break there, we've been talking about it from this time, 225 on the move down there off the robotaxi. I think we take that out. I'd like to see it take it out tomorrow, or at least come in tomorrow and be close to that level so that we can hit it and rip it. But for right now, yeah, it's just trying to figure itself out. Looks like it will probably barcode until earnings on Wednesday. So I feel like Tesla is just a wait and see at this point. No point in getting longer or shorter or into any kind of a position ahead of this report. The reason why I think it's going to go up is I feel like he's going to right the wrongs that whatever was the problem with the robotaxi announcement there. So I'm pretty bullish on Tesla. I mean, I think China, we've seen some of those numbers come in as well. We hear new iPhone numbers today. They're going to beat as expected. So I think people are still buying the best products, and apparently Tesla is one of those things as well. So we'll wait to see if Tesla can keep on working. We're still long the futures, 30 handles in the money and 250 in the money off Nvidia. So let's go talk about AMD.
Yeah, AMD, no specific catalyst today, Sean, but Goldman analyst here, Toshiya Hari, basically chiming in, saying that AMD is spending aggressively right now on CapEx, and he likes that for the AMD, what he calls the competitive race for AI. He maintained the buy rating and the price target of $175, but again, nothing new for this one, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I guess all it did is bounce off the 50 period here today on AMD. It's been in a downward trend. It's not much of a downward trend. I just think it's more of a pullback off of the uptrend, right? Like this is your cleanup trend on AMD. It made a fresh top at 175, and since then has been pulling back. Today you got the bounce off the 50 period simple at $154. So there it is. Tapped it in the pre-market, tapped it again, and has been trend up ever since. I think we got room this afternoon. It's trying to join the party. I do like this. This dip area was, if you go back to like about 1 o'clock or so, essentially dipped into prior close, which was support at 156 most of last week. And now you're just basically heading into the upside. So since then, it's like a secondary trend has formed on AMD. So this is the trend. I'm looking at it for it to kind of take out a high here and resume the trend into 158.5 is a resistance spot. So I think it's got room to there today as long as it can hold on to this trend line. Just looking for us to actually break out that top and then confirm that we're continuing the uptrend on AMD. So it's been in a bit of a rut, bouncing off that 50 period simple. I think it's got some room to head right back in to set upside. Just catching a bit of a wave here as it's been dragged up by Nvidia effectively because it was not having a good morning whatsoever until it did bounce off that 50 simple.
All right, so you guys want to talk about AMD, but it's Nvidia right here. You know, it was such a great opportunity here today on the 140 break. We said be patient, let the trade develop. No need to trade if there was no signals. So for me, I haven't even looked at AMD today, and I think that's the lesson of the day for me is, you know, stay with the names that, I mean, look what's happening right here, right now. You know, we can talk about AMD, and I'll do that in a couple minutes. I'm just using this opportunity to tell you, like, if you stay with the names that you believe in and you trade them properly, you only need 1 or 2 names, and that's what, you know, this move here for Nvidia signifies. That break of 140, we were waiting for that for a while. And there's the break right there. Yeah, it happens, and boom goes the dynamite. We're here to trade it. The traders are in the building right now. Let's go over to Sharif.
Last one on here, Sean, BlackRock ETF IBIT for the Bitcoin spot ETF, which took in $1 billion worth of net inflows. That was last week, guys, and we saw that almost $70,000 touch over the weekend. Obviously, since that time, Bitcoin's been selling off. Likewise with IBIT, down 2% here, guys.
Thank you very much there, Sharif. And we'll get into IBIT. Generally speaking, obviously, Bitcoin, you can trade pretty much wherever you want to. Spot, you can do MSTR if that's going to be your cup of tea. I tend to think, you know, IBIT as an ETF is a good thing, but just an idea here, if you're going to be trading, you want to make sure when you are a trader that you have the right tools available for you. So with that, I want to be thrilled to announce here Trade TV Live and Trade the Pool's huge giveaway. 7 traders, 7 are going to win $20,000 in buying power to trade with. This is your opportunity to start trading and getting funded with Trade the Pool for free. The registration runs from October 21st to October 25th, and the winners will be announced on the 29th. Don't miss your chance to get funded. Trade the Pool is a prop trading firm that funds stock traders through a unique evaluation model. The firm allows traders to trade over 12,000 stocks and ETFs, including penny stocks, with the freedom to trade during pre-market or after hours and bypass that PDT rule. Traders who pass the evaluation receive funds and share profits with the company. Join now for free. The link is in the description, and you can always scan the QR code that you see on your screen right there. And of course, as we said, like one of the ETFs out there for you was IBIT, whether you like to trade the security MSTR. We talked about Coinbase. There's Mara. You can trade the miners in here. The real story is what happened, as we said, in Bitcoin. And there's a reason why every single time we talk about Bitcoin, there's an obvious trend that's been happening here. So it's bullish in the sense that you are making, I guess it's a very elongated bull flag, or Michael Nuss might have had a different term for it. I don't know, whatever, it doesn't matter. But you have descending highs here. But what's happened differently is you potentially reversed, I say potentially because anything can happen off this last test, reverse the trend of lower lows. If you're able to put in a higher low and retest the top, then that would be a very bullish sign. Each time it's really retested the top, it's gone and made a fresh low, essentially. So the next dip, if we can make another dip here, retest the high without making a fresh low, then I think it looks a heck of a lot stronger up top here. IBIT, again, is just going to be the same thing as Bitcoin, so there's really not much of a point of going over it specifically outside of, when you look at it here today, if you were trading this one in particular, the support has been pretty clean in and around about 38. So 38 has been the level that we've been able to bounce off of. You can see the support going all the way back into last week. So that's going to be a key area to hold. If we lose that, and I'm looking at Mara generally speaking. If we're losing, if Bitcoin's going down, I like Mara because it's relatively weak. The miners are weak relative to spot prices. So if we're going to lose that, it's Mara that I'd look for a reversion on, not necessarily IBIT. I just want something which is going to move the downside, I believe, more than the actual ETF or spot price.
All right, Mara right here has been giving you many opportunities down there at $18. I mean, it hit about 4 or 5 times. This looks like Nvidia, where we came back in, we got long at 140 off the break, and then it came back in there again, and you could have got long that exact same level, and then we're pretty much trying to chill at the highs. It's the same thing for the short, right? I mean, you could have gone short right there at 1850, short there at 1850, and short there at 1850. But at the end of the day, when I'm looking at what to do here, I see that we've been holding VWAP and the 200 period moving average. So for me, I think it's a long 67,300 right now for Bitcoin. So it's not really trading that well today. So it can't really be affecting Mara too much, can it? We'll see if Mara wants to break through this 1850. I think that could be a sort of like a go spot there for anybody looking at this right into there. I mean, hold again, like comes back in, tests it, hold, time to blast. Like this trade has actually, one there that I could stamp as a potential long. So that would be one there for 1850 for Mara. And then look, man, I mean, I don't know. My money is where my mouth is. I don't just say like, I think Bitcoin might moon, but I'm like in it right now. So I'm still in IBIT. I don't have any plan on getting it out. The last time we bought this name was $34 on those dips into 50 or 53 or 54, I think it was down here. So we're in somewhere around here on IBIT. Plus we have Bitcoin. Plus we have all of that just sorted all around, sprinkled all around a few different spots. So we'll have to wait to see what winds up happening. I mean, I like some of these other names as well. I mean, I've recently sold some Solana. It wasn't recently. The last time I sold it was at 195 and change, or 199.95, something ridiculous like that for Solana. So we'll do a little bit of an update here and have a quick look at what kind of coins are doing what today. Bitcoin last 7 days up 2. Ethereum's been really disappointing, needless to say, only 1.1% there in the last week. Today, it's all downside. But there's Solana, 164.90. So I've probably made actually more money on Solana because I'm actually trading in and out of it. That's been a good one there. My other one, of course, that you guys would all know about is Cardano right here really doing nothing. It did have its day when it went up to like 50, 60 cents there for a minute when it got hot. You're waiting for some more projects to come through there. It's Dogecoin over the last week that's up 23%, as we'll wait to see if that has any more follow through. Up today as well, up in the last hour. This is just CoinGecko. It can show you, the hour, the 24 hours, just so if you want to sort it. I'm not going to do it because it's going to be some crazy stock or some crazy coin that's going to come up, but you can sort by which one's maybe moving the most. But I don't know much about this Ton coin. It tends to move a little bit.
That's my physio guy's been talking about that Ton coin.
Okay, so sell the Ton.
I don't know too much about it, but he's just like, there's this thing that's moving.
Yeah, exactly. It's number 11 right now, Ton coin. Yeah. So okay, so yeah, I think crypto is obviously a nice little story there. We'll see what winds up happening. Nike's at $80. Wow, I sold Nike on that news. I thought around 88 or something with that one. We actually had, like, my trading, I feel like the plays that I've made on the swing and the long-term account is better than the trading that we're doing here on the show. Yeah, there it is, man. We sold out of Nike. We bought Nike down at 70 and sold out of it up here when we got that bump up and then didn't get any carry forward. So we are out of Nike. And then Starbucks, I got out of this one 95. I have not checked it. It's always, okay, the same thing. So this has been the one that, again, we're long both of them here in the low 70s once they bumped up. I just thought we had a fail here too much at the top, and we got out. I think it was the second time. No, maybe it was this first time here when we failed that and then came back in and we got out in and around here, 95-ish. But that's looking like a great long in Starbucks as Brian Nickel looks to change the fate of that company back there to the upside, especially with a nice positive talk there in China as well. Okay, good outs there coming at the 50 period. I mean, we're here, guys. This is what we're doing, man. A couple good plays there on the TQs, getting lighter and lighter on this one, where we're only holding apart now. So far, so good on that. DJT, we don't have, so first of all, I always say we, but I do not have any red names today, so that means my next trade might be a loser, so do not track it. But DJT today, good one, man. Long up here, and then out when we took 31, so we were able to get some nice longs breaking through 31. And then we noticed on our note that we wrote down 30. That hit right as we left off air, but that would have been a good long. Again, we'll wait maybe for that one to come through. That was DJT, and then again, like pretty lucky to get, I mean, not lucky. You're never lucky if you don't take the absolute top. But at this one, on this one here with Seata, I mean, we were able to buy early. We always get, sometimes we get too involved early on. This time we didn't. It didn't really go too much against us. As we take a 60, then we average it back into the 40s, then get some out here 80s. I don't think we got a 90. It looked like our best out there, 78. And then it popped back into VWAP at the time where we took a 20. Then we got those all out in the 50s. That was really great. Then it dropped back again, and we were able to take some $2 and get some out around 220 or so. And then finally, when we broke right here at 220, sorry, that's not 220, that's 212. Once we broke 220 is where we finally wind up getting out of that one. And as you can see, holding on for dear life on some of these, not a great idea, but right now you are trying to hold 160 on this name. So yeah, Nvidia, we still have a bunch more arrows to fire off here. So we're going to wait for this, although it is bouncing around the 50 period moving average. Be disciplined, right? Have outs. Make sure that you take it out on the way up. This is how come this stock is X times the next highest stock here today. Because disciplined, got the reload, took it, trusted the note, and hit that 140 level. So far, so good. And we'll just sit in this one. DraftKings is a name I want to look at soon.
Yeah, DKNG has had some incredible reversals back, in both directions last week. Just one quick note. There was a almost trend break on Nvidia here. Just talking about the afternoon trend. Like obviously this morning it had its own thing to do, but it just did a wick under 142. Did not close underneath the trend line since the closest to the VWAP test this afternoon. A couple of things. It either breaks that, if it breaks this low or closes underneath this trend, I'm jumping out of the trade. And then there's this LTBR, which just started going, I should say just started going again, because this was a mover this morning. As you can see, like good continuation move, got to $10. Does not break underneath, well, I guess it barely got underneath the $8 level, but doesn't really get to the prior day highs, doesn't get to the pre-market low, so it holds on to the strength that it had relative to its gap up, and now you're getting a hold above VWAP. So it's not really giving a retrace like this little tail, this candle here, I expect us maybe to pull back into VWAP, but I'm looking at this and not a lot of those runners are actually giving anything this afternoon. This is the first one to pop up on volume over VWAP, so that's the one I'm looking at here is this LTBR, 30% to the upside. The details on this, what is it, like only a 1% short float, but the float itself, that's not the story. The float's only 14 million shares. So 14 million share float, it's done 10 million shares. It's already almost turned the entire thing over. It might actually do so today if it keeps up this volume. So looking for hopefully a VWAP entry. If we don't get that, a consolidation over VWAP over 9, still very much in play for LTBR. Adam to lose, shout out to you there. Apple is turning, but it's still on trend. It never actually got to 237.5. I thought the all-time high was going to be a nice little reversion spot and then played one trend reverse here on APL. Like it basically broke the morning trend line here. If I were to draw it, there's the entry point. Was able to get halfway to the target of VWAP and then stopped out tight in there. So it ends up being a flat trade. But you're still holding the trend as long as you're above this. And I'm talking about the trend since it made that initial move to the upside. So you're pretty much testing it as we speak. I wouldn't be surprised if you catch one little bounce, maybe a lower high. Does feel like it's trying to roll over. And I've been just patiently waiting for the best spots to make the trade. I thought we were going to see that 237.5 of the level from Friday, the way we were trending into the upside. If we lose the trend line, I'm going to start looking short here on AAPL. And that LTBR, I mean, as soon as I say the volume's starting to pick up, already slowing down. Needs to hold that VWAP to be an exciting one on that low floater.
All right, I'll 142 and change. Let's get something out here on Nvidia here. Again, this is just sort of the thing. We do have an opportunity to get some out. We do have, again, like, you know, we're trading shares. You got to take advantage when you do have 50 period right here. So we'll take it. We've broken a little bit there. Went down to 141.80, but we'll just see. Adam and everybody there in the chat, you know, we've talked about this, and I just think as long as we're above the 50 period moving average, the long is still fine, but we are getting very, very light, like almost down to nothing left on this Nvidia, like maybe like 2% left on this trade. So I don't know how much do you have left from your original position?
Oh, from the original position? Oh goodness, like less than 5%. It's literally the last salvo, because I only got the dip off the break. So there was, here, I'll show you guys. There was a breakout 140. There was the initial dip off the break, which was like, first move goes right to that prior high the first time. Like, remember when we had the trade on Thursday? I think it was Thursday. It broke, it got to pretty much the same level. And then there's your dip, holds on. I then drew that trend line in there. That got me most of it out in that spot. And essentially was just holding on to the last 5, looking for a spot to reload. Did not get any of the, like, this is probably the candle that could have worked off of that 140. But at this point, like I said, I've drawn the trend line in there. And if it gets to VWAP, fair enough, that's 140.80. It doesn't necessarily matter about VWAP. It's either breaking 141.8 or it's closing underneath the trend line, which I still have on my black chart. Like if this candle closes before it breaks 141.8, then that's to me an out regardless, which it just did. So I'm going to get out. That was the rule. Close beneath the trend line. And we're going to Dara for an update.
In case you missed the midday session here, we're going to talk about some of what happened from 11 to 2 p.m. today. And if you're looking for small caps, you had quite a few on the move. Lots of movers. BIVI was still on watch. We also had a little bit of a move there. We had SYTA on watch all day. SAVE made new day's highs, but also on watch was some Fed speak. Fed's Kashkari set to start speaking here at 1 p.m. That we didn't really start getting comments from him until about half an hour later. Some comments from Fed's Kashkari were about actually the rate cuts here. So Fed's Kashkari saying if there is evidence of quick labor market weakening, that could be a reason to cut rates faster. Though right now, Fed's Kashkari is seeing, quote, modest cuts over the next few quarters, saying also that the Fed, quote, definitely would want to avoid signs or avoid a recession here because of this labor market weakening. That was the reason for the Fed to cut by 50 basis points. So basically saying, well, the labor market was not the reason for inflation. Any sign of it weakening could be a reason for faster cuts, just to kind of summarize some of those comments. He also had some interesting things to say about crypto. ZIM was on watch during the midday. This one made new day's highs during that session, still up about 7.5%. Basically moving in sympathy with Maersk, which raised its guidance for fiscal 2024. Now we have KSCP. This was Nightscope, one of many gappers and small cap movers on watch. This one was interesting too, 12% short float. Never got a ton of volume, but worth noting, definitely the midday as of late has been a great place for some of these small caps and wild movers, and today was no exception, guys.
It was not.
There was not an exception. There was a bunch. There was that Oklo was moving. SMR actually had some good moves. I'm going to mention something about silver, and then I want to get to that SMR because SMR, IonQ, you had Oklo, what's the other one? NNE as well. Those were all in play today. Just talking about those small modular reactor and the nuclear names. But silver, the breakout that happened on Friday and that trend up, and you guys remember in the afternoon, like it was just a linear move to the upside pretty much the entirety of the day there on SLV. Well, it gave it up, pulled back into prior close, I suppose, did a trend reversal. The problem is it got right into this like 31 level, which was your morning support, and now falling right back in. So it's going to be pretty key if it can close above 30.60. Obviously, I mean, gold's been breaking up for a while, but silver just really got there, finally getting through in any real basis that 30 level. It was 29.5 on SLV that was resistance on the daily, but it was really 30. You just blew it away on Friday. So as long as it holds on to these levels, I think the trend is still pretty good. Seems like it's in a bit of a consolidation or pullback phase. But that SMR, and SMR was pretty solid in terms of, I know it's not doing the parabolic moves like before, but you have to take a step back on this, realize how far it's gone. And I think it's in one of these phases where you had a big break. There's your consolidation off the 13 level, another big break. Now this 17.5 looks pretty good. And the way I see it, if it can hold this 17.5 for more than, just at least this week, I think this can be something making another push here, especially to that 20, which has been a fail at $20 on SMR. But if we lose 17.5 bucks, I think this can see 13 again, where I think it's a buy. Just speaking specifically about SMR, it was IonQ. That's the one that I was in and I'm looking at this afternoon for some continuation. So I had this to the long side, call it a paper handed. Sometimes you move your stop on a trade and you probably shouldn't, but IonQ was going, did a nice consolidation off 14.25. So I had that consolidation to this low here at 14.25, and I was long at like 33. It then broke higher, started failing the 14.5 level. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get up. I got up, threw my stop in to break even instead of just leaving at 14.25, do my exercise, and it just kept on going. But it's now 10% up. And it just made another bounce off that same previous area of resistance at 14.5. So this one's trying to make another leg to the upside. So IonQ looking pretty solid. I know Oklo as well. It's the 14.5 right now that sets a support, but you've got a nice little rounded bottom starting to form on IonQ. Oklo I haven't looked at as much here today, but these guys, all of these as a group. Oh yeah, Oklo breaking out the highs as well. So looking very strong, 20% as well. Wow, this one's gone parabolic again. This one might be better than IonQ. It's already breaking out that top. Yeah, gonna have to do some work on Oklo. I don't think these are fresh highs here. I think they might actually be all-time highs. I'll double check. But OKLO making some power moves to the upside. 12% short float. I don't see any highs higher than this, so I guess it's a blue sky setup here on OKLO. And yeah, this is actually better than IonQ. I thought IonQ was the only one breaking to the top.
Hilarious here. I mean, this is why these things are purple, is because I have more offers up here. So I was just looking and I said, okay, I was going to clear up my order log, right? And I was going to say, okay, let's just start to clear up some orders that are here because, this is already, the damage is already done on this one. Okay. So I said, all right, let me see what Nvidia. So I have an offer here from 157. So this offer went out at 157. You know what the price was? 142.46. So that's the price that I offered shares at 157. So right here, I put an order out. Why? That right there, that high is 45s. So I was like, let's go a little bit higher. So right into here, when this happened, we just went on air, blah, blah, blah. I was like, let me put an offer out. Maybe we get this fill. It was right here. It was during this minute, actually. It was this minute, actually, where I put it out at 147, 142.46 is where my offer's at. Didn't even realize it. You know where it came right back to? 142.46. So right there, mood is still fine. We have a very, very small amount of shares, so it is completely irrelevant. But that's just funny that right there it comes up right to that level where it sees an order and turns around. I was just cleaning it up, and I was just like, all right, where am I going to keep my orders? Because I didn't want to have too many there, so then I overfill and get short. So clean up the orders right there, and we put one right there at that high where it completely stopped, and we put it out here. I was like, oh, I must have put it out after this had happened. But we put it out this exact candle, so we'll wait to see if that can happen. Very, very small trade there as well. DJT up to $31. We had recently put on, and again, you know, I do this because trying to be real with trading and trying to be real with all of this. You can follow me at TraderTV. Sean, I've tweeted out that we got long Uber on Thursday at $80. So I like this trade. I'll be averaging in if it comes back into 75. New position starting for me in the long-term account. $80 there on Uber. More of a swing trade, meaning that like I think if we can get some out, if we can get back up to 85, 86, and then we'll let the rest ride after that. That's how I've been playing it. And again, follow me for all of these kind of ideas that I post up and post out ins and outs. And Alibaba, a lot of traders liked it around here, also got in around $70, what we had posted before. And then we just posted 117.50. We got 117.53. It was in the after hours. Remember, Neil was doing the show and we were able to get out of that one there. As Alibaba's now fallen back in, we could reload that there in just a week and a half, you know, for a little bit back in. But I think Alibaba has room to go down to the downside. So we'll watch out for that. We've been really doing well on FXI. What's Amazon doing right here? Again,
Amazon had a great bounce today.
Yeah, 189. Nice level there. I was going to go short actually at 189. We did not do that. Here's a 20-minute chart. I should have, but I'm trying to change up the style a little bit here. And it's working, right? We're 4 for 4 today. But right here, I was going to wait for that to break and then hold. That never happened. But normally I'd go short there. The thing is the market wasn't really giving me the short feels. We were above VWAP, above everything, and starting to go. This is why we went long the futures, which right now is coming back into about a flat position for us. I'll show you all those outs. But at the end of the day, I'm not sure if the futures are a long or not. You're flat coming into starting to get to earnings season. I know earnings season's already here, but really the only big companies so far, we had Netflix, and we see what that's been doing. And then, you know, whether or not you want to talk UAL or some of those other names, but we started with the banks, and they all, you know, XLF went to all-time highs, and I think continues to work as well as, you know, other than TD Bank. I feel like there's been most of the banks have been continuously ripping higher. XLF pulling back a little bit. Financials are the best performing sector this year in the S&P. So, you know, no surprise when that word starts getting around, especially after earnings, that you're going to see some weakness because people want to take some off. It's like whenever the trade looks too good is when it kind of goes the other way. So we'll have to wait to see here if that is the case at all for something here with XLF. Hoping for a pushback in so that we can even get longer in and around this $46 mark. Longer, I'm not in it. I'm in JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs, which have both been working out. Not WFC, not Morgan Stanley. But yeah, JP Morgan still at the highs as well. But you can see this. I mean, you're still double touching at the top. Right here, double tap touch, double tuck, dodge. Right there, 226. So that high has been dodged for now as it comes back in. And, you know, this is looking like a nice little roller coaster. You go up, ramp, right down.
Well, speaking of dodging,
boom, right back in.
TD dodged the new low.
Oh, did it?
So TD Bank, it did happen. It did not make a fresh low last week. So it held on to that 55. And if you're wondering, like, who cares about TD Bank had that, I guess that settlement over, you know, money laundering, where they, A, got a big fine, B, they were restricted on their growth in the United States. With the Canadian bank with U.S. exposure, the one with the most, actually. This is one, I actually have this in my long term. It had been previously a great buy off 55, obviously, until that happened. But now you've held the bottom for a week. And I basically last week I said, all it has to do is close above this, and I'm going to reload. I mean, technically speaking, I would have had to have sold some. And I haven't sold any, but I'm looking to reload here. And if I do get any more TD, this would be a trade into the 50 and the 200, giving it to that local bottom. I just feel like events like this, like you pay a lawsuit or you have a short sell report, or maybe it can be something like an earnings. If you hold that bottom, a lot of times you can get that nice little rubber band action here for TD. So anyways, TD Bank, for now, I mean, could I have jinxed it and then all of a sudden, like in the next hour or so, TD Bank breaks $56? Entirely possible, but for now, it managed to hold last week's lows, which means I want to be picking some up tomorrow. OCLO is still going, well, at least it's still going higher in a general sense, but it did not hold on to like this little bit of a trend here that we had going. I just wanted to see it hold that trend line. and then try to buy a dip. So now that it doesn't hold the trend, I'm just going to back off and wait for it to find some kind of a support. As you can see, it's rounding into the downside. Apple did break trend. So I'm on the offer of Apple picking it up here. So there is kind of like go to the trend from the first pullback of the morning, line it up. There's a closing underneath. The local high is about 236. It's like 27.28. Give it to 30, and then pull like a trend reversal trade, looking for VWAP retrace here in Apple. AMD was also seeing if that was going to actually hold on. Now it doesn't hold. AMD doesn't hold on to 157. So AMD can't really hold on to that morning high. This might be in a bit of a pullback phase as well. VWAP's a long way away for AMD. I feel like, where is that? Yeah, like 70 pennies. If AMD gets to VWAP, Nvidia is going to be there, and it's probably a better buy. I wanted to see if AMD could have caught up and taken out its high. Then it had room to run.
Yeah, I was just looking at those charts of the banks. Like, I wish I was a little more irresponsible when I was younger, because sitting in bank stocks has been such a bad decision over the last 10 years, man. I mean, I was just looking. These stocks are at the same levels they were since 2017. I mean, if you had just basically bought anything else other than sitting around catching 4% dividend, which is, and again, if your money's been sitting in there catching 4%, over the last, like I said, that's since 2017. So that's last 7 or 8 years. I mean, you're barely beating inflation right there. You might as well. At least gold is moving upside and at all-time highs. But you guys can look at the charts yourself for that one. Yeah. Anyways, I was in there because you're trained to get some dividend stocks, things like that. But what a bad decision that is. Okay, so right here, TQs. Just pulling back into the 200 period right now. We're light on this. We could, why not reload this? I mean, I was thinking about doing that. We do have some buys down here. It didn't quite get to VWAP. We're trying to be very, very patient, but, in the realm of being patient, we were patient enough, I feel like. Let's take a little bit more. We'll add another 50% of our current position on right now because we're very, very light in it. There it goes. It has to break through 43s for us to grab this. I'm thinking we just tap this out at 74.20. I mean, we've already made this trade. So we were short initially on the TQQs right into there. And then we got stopped out once it broke higher, right? But then once I got stopped out, I actually went long on those levels because I was like, we're above VWAP. Let's see if we can get going here into the afternoon and into the midday. And that is exactly what happened. So we turned our frown completely upside down, bought the dip again into VWAP and into the 200, similarly to what we're trying to do right now. This was more of like an immediate drop in like 5 minutes. So we're able to get that. This has kind of been grinding now slower. So an instant drop right down there, then the grind back. So definitely taking advantage of this to the point it's nicely profitable, but we are not going to be on this name for too long. There it is. So we just bought some 43s and it's up to 47. We'll see, be disciplined here, get something out. That's 58s. So let's just put an order now. I mean, this thing can run a lot. Let's put an order at like 54s, see about getting a piece out there if we're able to do that. And then we'll see about getting back to highs, especially if we just did hold that VWAP right there. All right, still on Nvidia, nice little hold there. We did get out at the 50 period last time as we make our move right back there up to the upside. So yeah, man, so far so good on all of this. You guys were talking about WKSP there in the chat. Yeah, we had these guys on Friday, and I mean, right now, or on Thursday, look at this move up. 55 cents since we've been talking about them, up to 82 today. So congratulations to WKSP. And boy, oh boy.
The dollar breaks will be spicy on that.
Yeah, your boy's doing something right here, right now as well. As it's only 5 handles in the money, but take that quick scalp in the futures right there if you want it. It's another winning trade right there on the futures. We'll find out what's going on with the futures in a couple of seconds. If or not we break or hold that 50 period moving average, which we're trying to break through right now. Funny thing is, the high of the day is this 20,500. High of the midday, 20,500. We need to get through that if we're going to do anything. So we'll wait. Hands in pockets for now. We've got our average in. Our first out here is 54. We'll see if we can just make a ho-hum 11 handles on this one, and then just let the rest host.
So I want to get to this super chat. MN America. So I don't know. Thank you for the super chat. We appreciate you for sure, MN America there. Thanks for the show, you say. What is going on with Intel? Is nothing the answer you're looking for? I mean, what's going on with Intel in a general sense is they're looking for every single way that they can, A, turn the company around, B, try to maybe generate some cash so they can get their foundry space going. They've talked about several spin-offs, like all that good stuff. On the daily chart, I guess it's holding the 50-period moving average, which I suppose is a good thing, but that's about the only thing boding well for it. Unfortunately, this did a very good, I like to think a very good liquidity grab and bounce last week without any follow through whatsoever. The C2280, like this is a level I think is the short level, at least I thought it was a short level today on Intel just because of what we saw last week. And unfortunately, couldn't even test that. And all the strength that you had in the chips, Intel still 0.8 to the downside and couldn't even make a test of that last week, Thursday and Friday top. Good news, hey, bit of a V-shaped recovery today. So it did make a big low in the morning, got right back in to almost be green. So I guess that's a positive here for them. But it's not a lot of volatility on it today. And I think it needs to take out that 2280 if you're going to get some kind of a power move. Like it's done power moves to the upside because it's down so far, but I think you need to break out that level next. 2280 goes, and then Intel has a good chance to give you a real move to the upside. Otherwise, it's a short till it ain't. That's just the way that stock's been going over there. So unfortunately for them, you know, they're one of the chip names that isn't doing well. Haven't really checked out too many today, but I'm pretty sure everyone I looked at was green, or at least going toward green with the exception of Intel. So Apple, like I said, it closed underneath that trend line. We got in a bit of a pop. It came into the evens. Can't seem to break it just yet, but I only want to reload underneath that 20 level. And then if it breaks back above the trend, we get out of Apple. And then that AAPL looked like it was, you know, giving you some kind of a base down here and then just jumped up off the quarters. So caught a real bid off that quarter level. Be great. If it can just resume the trend line above, I just look for a 22 break to give it to this trend line. So it still hasn't really give a consolidated bottom, but I like the way that it just got bought up. Suddenly 22 looks like a nice little break to the previous trend line up here. So OKLO, another one of these short float type of names that we're looking for, big breakout. It's got great volume on the day, 44 million shares, and still doing a good amount.
I have this Clementine here. All right.
I had mine. It was shaky at best.
Really? This one looks, this one looks good.
Well, yours looked better than, well, mine was a little bit, I don't know. It didn't get as much love, I don't think, there. It is what it is, man. With fruit, it's like hit or miss, man. I had my biggest beef when it comes to fruit is if you get lazy, like our family has gotten to sometimes. Like we have a garden with like great vegetables. For our fruit, we still get them at the store, and we do a lot of the. Yeah, we're going to order and we're going to have our groceries delivered. The worst thing is your fruit. Like everything else is pretty good, but when you don't get to pick your own fruit, that's the downside. Vegetables, fine, because we grow a lot of the vegetables we have. Like you guys, the same sort of thing. But yeah, for fruit, it's hit or miss, man. There's nothing worse than a bad piece of fruit. But there was one other name I did want to get to was that LTBR. That was that $9 holder. Well, it doesn't actually get back into VWAP. It held on to $9 and is continuing to the upside. I was looking for a VWAP entry with this, but it looks like it doesn't want to give you a VWAP entry. So 34% upside. It's this and AAPL that are on my radar currently for low float runners and small cap runners. Like to see it put in a bit of a higher low to work off this 9-10 level, continue trend into the upside on OKLO. So Apple's trying to break the even dollar as it's pulling back in here. But I think, if there's something that's really going to move out of these low floaters, like one of them's got to go. We haven't had a high break. It's been like outside of AAPL, which failed its high break, we haven't really had a day's high break on any of these small cappers. Would like to get one before they get there. And it looks like LTBR off this 9-10 could be a nice little candidate for us.
All right. Yeah, just looking. I was trying to figure out I have to put this into the proper odds, but here's the current odds on Bet365 right here. So 153 to first 25. So right now it's about the same thing as before. You got to pay $1.53 in order to get paid for Donald Trump, and then $2.50 for Kamala Harris. So paying a much bigger win right there. I'll reject all of those cookies there on Bet365. So just wanted to have a look at this as we take in consideration as the odds seem to be getting better for Donald J. So we'll go over to DJT right here. With only 2 weeks left, man. I mean, November 5th, we're going to see about the election, and Donald J. will be moving around DJT at that time. I mean, as a business, obviously, they've released some financials, and it hasn't been, you know, the biggest and the baddest of stocks as far as looking at their numbers, but that doesn't always tell the full story, right? So we're going to have to wait to see if there's some momentum going back up there to the upside on DJT. This is the, whoopsies, this is the Benzinga Pro platform, so I'm going to go over to details right here. I was just looking at, that's where I was looking up TD Bank just to see that it's at the same levels it's been at since 2017. All right, Trump Media, percentage of short float right here. We only have, maybe I can zoom this in a little bit. What happened to my zoom out there? There it is right there, 9.4% right there for short float percentage on DJT. So that's what it's just showing right here. Look at this, Q3 earnings unconfirmed. Is that real? Sunday, November 3rd. They're going to have earnings 2 days before the election. I don't know.
That seems like a bad idea.
Or is it a great idea? I mean, if you think about it. So we'll have to wait to see what happens. I don't think that anybody reports on Sundays, but we'll have to wait to see what happens here with DJT. That must be a mistake. But again, we'll have a quick look. Oh, here you go. Trump Media Technology Group shares are trading. Court decision there as well. We went and got a little bit of a haircut. You know, we talked to the wife. We talked to a few other people around here trying to figure out what's good and hopefully some new and upcoming things for us here at Trader TV Live. But right here, the company announced the release of Truth Social or Truth Plus on iOS and Apple TV. So now when you're at home watching your Apple TV, you can download the Truth app and get all of your truths. I think that's what they call them, as they are tweeted or truthed out. All right, so just quickly here, we got a piece out there at 50. I know it's not great there for the futures. We did try to like DCA a little bit, dollar cost average into this trade, but I don't even have, oh yeah, I do. Okay, I have the stop order to break through here. I actually have it breaking 25s and getting out. But what about just a break of 20? Let's just adjust that, give it a little bit more room as we're just kind of floating around. I mean, look, if we get stopped out, we get stopped out. We've already put on the biggest trade of this position was on right here on the short, and then the same amount of shares on the break higher. And right now we have about on the reload, we have about now a third of the position that we would have had originally on this trade. So again, we can afford it to go against us, but would rather not have that happen. So right now we will wait for the NASDAQ to hopefully get a move back to the upside. I'm going long here. There's been so many days where I sit here and it's like, all right, not sure what to do. What are we looking at? So on and so forth. And then I try to fight the trend. Those days are over. We sat here at Thursday and we put in some work. As I said, I don't really read or study charts on a regular basis, but every once in a while we'll sit there and do that. And honestly, I study charts when we come in here, but I don't sit back and do too much of it. This is just like we need to play the trend. The trend, even though we're only up or down right now 0.11, the NASDAQ has just had 6, and this is what I'm talking about, 6 straight up weeks in the market. That's for sure the SPY. Not sure about the NASDAQ. 6 straight up weeks. Dow Jones, SPY. You know, the long, if you're up and you're above VWAP, I feel like the long is where I want to be. So that's what we're doing right now. We're long the names. We're long Nvidia. I mean, Nvidia on the reload, it's only been reloaded down here and nothing else. We got another piece out here on the 50-period moving average. We'll see if it can come back up to this side. I'm sitting right here at 46, as you guys know. We'll see if we can get that fill. And then the futures are going to come out if we lose about, you know, that 10 handles to the downside, which we still will be up on it. It's just we'll give some back as we have a third of the position on right now. We were red on this on our first trade, and then we went over into the long. So, yeah.
Is DJT up?
Yes, 31.
Is it breaking up by any chance?
No.
No. Funware is, for some reason...
31 about.
Yeah, Funware is going without DJT. Now, I haven't seen it.
Down DJT.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything specific on Funware. Usually, this just kind of moves when DJT moves. But there isn't even a red candle on the 15 minutes since noon. And it's starting to get a little bit parabolic here on Funware. So without some kind of a story, I do feel like this is a dangerous one to trade, especially, look, if DJT is not doing anything, it did just break out on the daily above $8. So it does look good from that standpoint. But then when you zoom it out, yeah. I mean, the last time it was anywhere near $9, it was a flush off of that level. So unless DJT starts going there is a story here. I think there might be a quick little mean reversion shot if it can get close. It was about $8.80 something would have been that high on the daily. I think I'd be looking for a reversion there, of course. It's probably already doing the reversion as I said it. Do we even have locates on this? Oh, we have free shorts on Funware. That's interesting. Usually we have to pay for locates, so free locates here on Funware. That said, it doesn't even seem to want to get to that $8.80 to make some kind of a test for us off of that high. I just feel like it makes sense. Without there being a story, that was a random volume spike, biggest one of the day. And if there isn't anything going on outside of maybe just a little bit of a squeeze happening on Fun, I'd look for a mean reversion, but again, it has to get to that $9 level. Oklo all of a sudden doesn't really look like it's all that interested. Okay, maybe hit it 20 times. Oklo, New York. There we go. It doesn't look like it's interested in breaking that 22 level anytime soon. It is putting in a higher low off of support, but it's not breaking out the top. So this is starting to slow down, unfortunately, here on OKLO. Like to see if Funware might want to join the party and give me a chance to make a mean reversion on that. But I do want to make sure, like I'll probably put DJT up just to make sure there isn't something actually going on in that grouping. It's been one that usually speaking, if Funware doesn't have specific news, it doesn't last more than a few hours or like a day to the upside. So I'm not chasing this one with a 10-foot pole. I'm looking for an $8.80 to $9 short area here.
All right, yeah, people talking about Fun there. Is this the DJT channel? Yes, welcome, Colby. No, it's not. All right, news on Qualcomm, if there's any big wicks. I mean, we have Adara's just sitting there, so looking at all this. So if there is anything on any of the stocks, stay tuned, right? Because, again, Adara's here. She'll get us all that news for us ASAP if anything is moving around. Let me just quickly look at Qualcomm, just have a quick look for you. Oh, okay, it's in the chat about Qualcomm. So, okay, we'll find out about that right now. Fun. She put about
that was
Fun.
Funware.
That's Funware. That's okay. Qualcomm, not really. I mean, Qualcomm does have a big spike right there, but no follow through. So maybe potential. I don't know. Sometimes when there's a rumor about something, you'll get a quick move up. This is just a 1-minute candle. I'm gonna say on volume, interesting. Did we break any levels here? Not really. It's one thing if you get a break, like all of a sudden, oh my God, it broke view up and then it spiked and came right back up. That could have been someone with an order. But for right now, I mean, I'm just seeing they're announcing, Adara's going to have it, but there is some Snapdragon news right here. Do you want to throw it to Adara, Ramin? All right, let's go.
I have the Qualcomm story here. They launched this Snapdragon 8 Elite, which apparently features according to them, the world's fastest mobile CPU and their next generation CPU. Basically, it powers advanced on-device generative AI. So it's a generative AI-related announcement here with the Snapdragon. Apparently also enhanced privacy features and multimodal capabilities. It also apparently is leading brands like Samsung, OnePlus, and Xiaomi with regards to rolling out devices using the new platform in, quote, coming weeks. So within coming weeks, we'll have this Snapdragon 8 Elite apparently featuring the world's fastest mobile CPU and giving you some generative AI capabilities, though the stock, again, going as high as 168.30s before pulling back almost $1. They actually had a price target decrease earlier today as well. So I'll keep you guys posted on QCOM if I see anything else, guys.
UC.
Yeah, thank you very much. And then the news on Funware wasn't actually news. It was just social media interest, and the $8 level is a key level according to some people posting on Twitter. So all they've done, I mean, like anybody else, just look at a daily chart, and Funware had a level at $8. That said, I mean, a squeeze name doesn't always have to have a catalyst for it to start moving. I just, in a general sense, if you want it to continue moving, it's probably better that there is some kind of a catalyst going. That's why we were talking about like that, the WKHS. So like you want there to be some kind of a catalyst if you want a multi-day move, in my opinion. So Apple, it just got through the local bottom since the trend break, holding on to this 236 on the south side for the first time. So going to move trail to the break-even level, from the trend line. Once you get away from a trend line, it's irrelevant at that particular point. Like the trend line is the support. In the point that it breaks, right after, I'll give it to the trend line. But once you've traded after that, you're just looking for spots to move it. As we can see, Oklo not really giving us a breakout trade, unfortunately. So it's just going to have to be patient with OKLO. Still holding this trend to the upside, but it's got a pretty clean top break. It looks like it's going to, any second come in here. Like you're trying to break out this top, looking to break 22s, then give it back into a prior high in here, which is about 21.80. So this one's been going all day long, just trying to take out a bit of a top here on OKLO. The actual high is 21.95, but I'm looking for a 22 break on OKLO, which looks like it's actually going to happen as we speak. Every now and then, when you're looking for a break to happen, it'll happen in real time. We'll see if it gets up there. It could always reject. You never know. It just has to tick above that $22 level, and then I'm going to look to get in. I'm not crossing all that far. It's a bit of a change. I just found like the last couple of weeks, you don't need to cross ridiculously far with limit orders, and sometimes I've been getting a better price if you don't cross like 20, 30 cents. In this case, you wouldn't anyways with a $22 stock. So Oklo's trying to break 22. Not really much going on there in DJT and Funware. Looks like that's already starting to slow down.
I'm battling with whether or not you viewers, and I was talking with Adam about this, actually care about the process of getting into trades or actually if the trades are making money or not, right? And I think that those are two completely different things. So my process is going to remain the same here, buying off of these dips into VWAP. So there it goes, man. We bought that dip. We're getting some more out here as it continues to go up. But at the same time, if you're going to be a process-based trader, you have to get out when things don't work out for you. So we've already have our stop order in here breaking through $20. This is why I talk to you guys, because the process rate now that we're using has given us the day that we're having. So you have to make sure that you sort of remember all of that stuff. Process is good, but at the end of the day, you need to look down. And this is what I'm battling with, and I talk about this all the time, just talking about myself, putting in some more work to see, okay, why did we take such a big hit there? Or why didn't we hold? Or why did we hold? And why is Nvidia just so great today? And I look at things all the time. Why didn't we hold more? On this one was completely fine. I have no problem with this. But it's all right, this goes up to $2. We have it. We marked it down. So process perfect. How do we now maximize the profitability? Because again, one thing to sit here and talk about trades, another thing to actually put on winners. So that's the one thing that's very, very difficult as we continue to trade. And I think that's for a lot of you that are watching, that's part of the problem. It's one thing to sit here, and that goes back to what we talk about. Those who can't do sometimes teach. We're trying to do both right now, and I think that's very, very important to understand that when you're trading, you have to have ideas, you have to have plans of action, and you have to go ahead and hit them. So I hope that resonates with most of you. It may not, but those of you that keep on trying this every day maybe know what we're dealing with on a regular basis here live on the floor. So, okay, Nvidia still $2 in the money. The futures, just 3 handles, but we were able to rebuy some of that and then get some more out. We're waiting for a move up, but we could still break VWAP very, very soon. So, hey, Bedston, thank you so much for that. We preach every day, but we ain't a priest. What's up, Adara?
Keep an eye here in LCID. This is Lucid Motors. We did have their CEO saying here in an interview with Reuters that this $1.67 billion equity raise, which was announced last Thursday morning, has provided them with cash runway that will last, quote, well into 2026. So it looks like almost 2 years here of cash runway for LCID, according to this interview. We've seen over 41 million shares traded so far in the day, so that is not insignificant. We have a market cap of around $6 billion. In about 62.4% of this float is going to be insider owned. Another 28% of their 878 million share float is going to be shorted. So decent short float, decent percentage insider owned here for LCID on watch.
It's been a minute since Lucid has actually done anything. It's like Rivian as well. Like both those names have been in a bit of the doldrums. Just very quickly, the 22 just broke on Oklo, so it's trying to get back into the top of the previous trend line, which is still proving to be resistance. So if it never breaks this 22.20, then my stop is going to remain here underneath the 80 level. If we do break it out, I want to hold half above, and then if we close above that previous trend, I want to put a new stop in on OKLO. Now, Lucid, look, just because you have a short float doesn't mean you're going to go. I think this stock probably exemplifies that more than anything whatsoever. The good news for Lucid is you have a bottom, and this was, I think it was the day, I forget which day it was, but it was when it was down 10%. And it was SSR. It was the 250 level. We're looking for a bounce. Well, it's not an SSR bounce anymore. Now it's just running into 250 without anything to hold it up. And if it loses 250, I think you could probably see a test of that actual 52-week bottom over there on Lucid. So it was a much different story. When it was at 250, that day after effect, we were looking for a rubber band. Yeah, none of that. At this point, if it gets to 250, I'd much rather be interested in a flat bottom break. Adara?
PIVI halted to the downside here. Look at that candle, pretty sharp candle to the downside on this 3-minute chart with an increase in volume. This company halting here after announcing that they're pricing a $6.66 million direct offering at $1.50 per share. And there's also going to be concurrent private placement with warrants at $1.37 per share. They're expecting to close this offering around October 22nd, 2024. So tomorrow, again, just to recap here, BIV pricing the $6.66 million direct offering, $1.50 per share. There's also going to be some private placement with warrants at $1.37 per share. This thing's been on watch since last week. It ran at the same time as DRUG, or that Bright Minds Biosciences, last Friday. Market cap of $38 million. We've got a float of 5.5 million shares. 31.3% of that float, from what I'm seeing, is insider owned. Another 7% is sold short. BIVI. Still halted as of right now, guys.
Dun, dun, dun. Bivy not doing too well. So as we were sort of saying, if Oklo got back above the trend, going to put a new stop in this. So before on the break was giving it to prior low. And then now that it's broken the trend line, going to give it to that prior, like this next bar, basically the next candle low, which is essentially the break-even price at that 22.03. So if it loses that, then we're getting out. Want to look to see if it can take out the $22.50 level next. That's where the next offer is going to be on OKLO. So it's going. I'm going to make the assumption that IonQ is probably going. And shout out to everyone in the chat that was like, Oklo was actually breaking. IonQ looked like it was going to make a power move and break out the highs. Oklo just moving a little bit more. So both of these have been running rather decently. IonQ is breaking the high, but no longer does it seem like it's the one with volume. Like, note the volume at the bottom, barely doing anything, which is what you want to look for. Essentially, when you're looking for something breaking out any highs, you want it to do it, generally speaking, on volume. Like, volume is going to matter. And OKLO is actually doing better volume this afternoon. On that high break, you can see it's maintaining an upward trend on volume into that high break, which is what you're not seeing on IONQ. So we'll see if this one gets to that 22.5. At this point, it's a break-even stop, so it can't go red, but you're still buying it off the top here. 22% up on any stock when you're buying off the highs. To me, like, you're joining a move late. To expect it to make a $2 move when it's already gone $2, I think it's a little bit much. But if we can get it to 22.5, I'll be perfectly happy to take that. I just saw Zach Bobek saying AMD close to the high of the day. Yeah, AMD was looking for that to actually, it's starting to break out that high. There we go. Starting to break out that high on AMD. 158.5 is where you got resistance going back into last week. So looking for it to break that high and then consolidate, give you some kind of an entry into the long, as opposed to just trying to catch the falling knife in there on AMD. So it's got some time to go still. It's only 3:15, but we are running out of time a little bit here for the dip in AMD. I wanted to see it touch that and take out that high before jumping on over.
There is right there. We'll have to get out of some of these because we were just waiting at 46s there for $2.50 on Nvidia. We took 36 because honestly, I just don't want to miss it by 0 pennies again. So we'll have to wait to see where we go now. I mean, what's the difference? Small piece. We'll take it out there at 35s. Hopefully it doesn't, Here goes then. I mean, it's 30 handles. right there in the futures. So a nice upside move as we continue to go. Right now, we're at the highest spot we've been at all day. Again, you know, just another positive day trading. Hopefully, we can continue that upside right now. So my next offer is at 30. We just put this on. I mean, I was just talking about process. I was just talking about, you know, trying to make sure that you guys understand what's happening, what the process is, because, you know, we never get questions. We get questions about names, but then very rarely do we sort of follow up with what's been happening. And there it goes right there. Nice move up there with the TQs. So again, just talking about the book that I'm in. We'll go over some other names like Neil's been doing. There was some random ones. And thank you again for adding those into the questions there again. As Qualcomm, I mean, they're talking right now, so that's going to be a good one. I do like Amazon, Dominica. That could be something there. It's already a Katina household vacation stock. We've talked about that because we loaded that one up near around 170 and able to get some out. Oh, well, actually, we didn't get anything out. We could get some out right now, 189 and change. Nvidia has been the best recent dip buy, and then also we're long SMR 12 and change, but we did sell some of that a couple days ago at 1835, which was a decent opportunity there. I may get some more out on the TQQs, but that would be either now or after Adara with this read.
This part of the show is brought to you by Firefly Neuroscience. Firefly Neuroscience has taken a bold step in advancing brain health technology. In collaboration with Bright Minds Biosciences, Firefly's innovative AI-powered platform has successfully analyzed data from a groundbreaking phase 1 clinical trial, using advanced EEG technology to track brain activity. This data unlocks new potential in treating neurological and mental disorders, reinforcing Firefly's position at the forefront of brain health innovation. As they prepare for phase 2, this partnership signals exciting developments for the future of neuropsychiatric treatments. Firefly Neuroscience, shaping the future of brain health.
All right.
Thank you very much, Adara. Actually, that was a very good technical trade. Actually, I'm going to get to that in a second, but I got to give it to Oklo. So it got to 2250. That was the target area. The second it tagged 2250. The high is actually 52. I did hold on to like a small portion, the last portion for the trend, just in case it held on to the trend and broke through the 50 level to go higher. But once it made that test of the level, trailing stop moves. As I said, if it got to that next target up, trailing stop moves into 222, which I just got out of. So we're now out of Oklo. But that AIFF Firefly this morning was a very, very interesting technical trade, because one of the things we always talk about is support and resistance. Well, if you happen to look at that 420 level, so 420, 420, 420, 420, like 4 times it touched it in a 3-day period. And then this morning, there's your move up. It actually bounced right off the entire morning. It was holding the 420 level. And then right into the open, it did a bit of a liquidity grab into that same one. So in pre-market, it was just basically bouncing off your 420. And now it's back above, holding that 420 level on AIFS. So it's showing you a nice little support spot there on Firefly. And even on the higher time frame, you're starting to see like a close above here is going to look rather bullish for another test of those highs.
All right, so I told you I was working on a few things, so I'm going to put on the producer hat, and I am very, very proud to announce that starting tomorrow, Adara will be back with me on the Market Recap Show. So I've invited her back to the Market Recap Show. I missed her. Hopefully you guys missed her. I know you did. So Adara back with me tomorrow on the Market Recap Show. Going forward. So there we go. I dropped, and I just asked her, Adara, you want to come back on the show? She was like, absolutely. So I say shout out to Adara for that, working hard every single day, and I want to thank her for that. And I got some feedback. People wanted her back on. So there it is, man. We you know, not just hosting here, guys, trying to make this show better and better for you. So Adara comes back with me tomorrow on the Market Recap Show. That should be really hype. Join me tomorrow. And then right there, as we go back into it, we talk about real trading. I mean, this is the futures. You guys have again asked for more futures trading, and there it is right there. It's a big one as it comes to the upside. Now 40 handles in the money. You're welcome. I tip my hat to everybody there in the chat. Thank you for all the feedback there. As we just gave, you know, Adara just took some time. We switched some roles there around a little bit, as you guys know that she is now on the desk for the news. So I've invited her back, and she had said yes. So I want to thank Adara for that as well. So thank you, Adara, for all of that. And join me tomorrow as she will be back on that one, baby. All right. So again, out of some more TQQs as we continue to go up. Neil, it's just a 40 handle winner right there, as it's a chicken dinner winner. As we continue to go to the upside, I told you we've changed, man. Not shorting stuff when I think the market is along. And we've talked about where it's been. There's the bounce off VWAP. Boy, did we have that one. I could tag Brian Shannon, but why? When we talk about VWAP all of the time right there. There's the play. There's the banger right there back up to the upside. TQQ now PL2, DJT PL3 right now. And we haven't done anything on DJT since the very morning. You guys saw all the trades for me on this stock early. We've only traded 4 names today. So DJT this is what we're doing right here on that one. Nvidia, we still have a small piece. It's 250 in the money, but I'm most proud about this one. You want the cow again, Jose? And there it is. I'm more proud about this one because we had wrote this down. I know now it's Neil's #1 stock as well today. And there it was right there. It's the Nvidia break on the sticky note. Trade idea #1, a big one. I can't see everybody behind us because we've changed the campus model right now and they trade a little differently, but I'm sure most traders there would have had that. And I want to thank everybody for subscribing. It's completely free. Go find me at TraderTV Sean. We also had DJT long there as well at 30. We had that trade today. We talked about Palantir, which is what I was going to go over to, which made me think about this. And then we had the Mara break long, but the problem is it's only a long right now. As you can see, the futures right now with crypto starting to go back up to the upside. There goes Nvidia. Here we go, 250 now in the money on that one. 30 handles. We've been getting lighter and lighter. We have less than half on this TQQ position. I'm debating just like getting more out right now as we go upside. The reason why I trade the equity instead of it's triple mover, so it moves 3 times more than the market itself, but that doesn't matter. I've never thought, I don't think of levered instruments that way because it doesn't make any sense to think about it that way. It just trades based on the levels. Like, who cares what it's tied to? I'm trading this based on what I see. And then right there, let me backtrack a little bit. I trade the futures this way because it's a listed equity on the NASDAQ. So obviously it's not an equity in the same way it's a stock. This is going to be an ETF based on, and how they get it is they roll forward contracts. So you know that's how you get the triple levered there, is they keep on getting those option premiums. It's not a great investment tool, but it is great to trade because you will get that DK. I'm going to DK Metcalf some more out of this one.
Ooh,
as we take some 63s and some 64s right now out here on the TQs for a paltry 35 handle winner. Plug apparently closing strong, plugging those holes in their stock.
Well, they got a few holes in their stock.
Yeah,
Plug.
that's going to take
many. Actually, as you mentioned, DK Metcalf, I didn't even realize that guy got hurt until I saw
I
like
lost Ayuk for the year. Like my team is just.
I mean.
And then I'm playing Jay, when we put up the second most points.
Yeah, so basically, I don't know if you guys know anything about fantasy football, but I'm pretty sure if I check, I think you might have played the high score at least 50% of the weeks this year. I know because it happened to me like one time and I was all pissed off about it. But like it's one of those things. But that's just.
Tonight I have Herbert. Oh, I can't catch him, and Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, but Harrison can go off.
Yeah, but remember he got concussed 2 weeks ago and he left in the first quarter. Woe is me.
I think Marvin Harrison's.
How do you short if you don't use options? Just by hitting offer key.
So just for everyone out there, when you ask questions about shorting and equity versus option, remember we're on a prop trading floor. So understand that on a prop trading floor, we're able to take shares and positions for very low fees. Pretty much every single individual equity is shortable for us, easy to borrow, and then we can trade directly in the shares. Now on the off, very few names will we have to pay for locates, or they're just not available. Usually it's something incredibly illiquid. Like I was surprised that we have free shorts on Funware, as an example. But something like an Apple or the Qs or the SPY or Amazon or Tesla, we can get in and out of the shares for very low fees because it's a day trading prop floor. So, that's when we show you guys the imbalance locator, which I just realized we haven't really pulled up, and there isn't anything actually standing out here. This is piped into our system. So we're able to see, hey, this is what the imbalances are on an individual stock in the NASDAQ, New York, over there in the Amex. There is nothing on the early look. Right now, it's just like Visa. Visa's 1.4 million to buy, and so is AT&T. But those are absolutely nothing. Yeah, but we are trading the individual equity. Shout out to Joseph, who does go over some options trading. But here at Real Trading, we are trading direct equity. You're essentially going sideways after that trend break. There was one push down into the 80s on Apple, and since then it's only been going sideways. So I think it's a bit of a nothing burger. I just flatted some there. If it's not, in the afternoon, if it's not really going, like for a trend break, the idea is trend break pull into VWAP. If it's not going to get to VWAP, then I'm just going to get out of the trade. And if you're still interested in that OKLO, OKLO, or any of the small cap runners, like this one broke trend again, or at least the upper trend, and is starting to hold $22. So it is putting in a higher low, but that trade was a clean even dollar break and then play it to the 22.50. If it could have broken 22.50, I think it would have looked interesting, but unfortunately, it's right back into the 22. So only about half an hour to go here. Let us know what else you guys might be looking at. DJT and Fun. Like Funware didn't get up to $8.80. It's still just chilling out here at about $8.20. So yeah, whatever social media spike got it to do that, the volume has completely died on Funware. Still holding some highs, but it's not really doing a heck of a lot of anything. There, C Battle saying XOM, XOM, XOM. Well, Randy will be happy that you like some XOM. It's back above VWAP, not bad. Some of the energy names haven't been faring as well as the others, but looky. Resistance to support on XOM, that is a bullish looking price area. But since it failed that break, it's finding a bottom. I think the 119.5 looks pretty solid. I'm in CVX personally, CVX and XLE, and then some Canadian stuff. That you guys probably, Enbridge, you guys probably don't know too much about them, but I'm in Chevron. So it hasn't been performing as well as XOM, but certainly there has been a big dip back in oil. Maybe we can finally get a bit of a bid here, but XOM is going to move a little bit differently from spot crude prices. Clearly, it's been a little bit stronger. Like it was making highs when you weren't actually making some highs in crude. But a good look here. C Battles, I like that. Resistance turning into support. I don't see a trade on it this afternoon, but it looks pretty solid. And Matt C, we did check Sofi today. We went over that in our little rundown because it was a number one name that you guys wanted us to look at was Sofi. I already mentioned, I said this weeks ago, Sofi gets up to 1050. Next time, I'm going to take some out, which I've been holding on to for a while, so I did take a third out on Sofi. Someone asked, would you sell covered calls on this? Not really. That was never a part of the action. I've done that. I've very rarely done that. I have done it in the past, but it's not one that I wanted to do. So I was like, I'll just take some profit out on Sofi. That way, if it dips back down into $7, like it did the last time it was here, then I'll feel a little bit better about it. But this is in my TFSA where I'm expecting it not necessarily be handcuffed to an all-time hold forever type of trade in the first place. I think I should have taken profit the last time it was up here, which is part of the reason why I did just the last week.
Yeah, we were able to get out of some Palantir, and yeah, that looked like a good position to get out of, and we did that, and now it's coming back in.
Where's that today?
I don't know, it was 43 or so. We got out right around 43, and then it dipped back in just a little bit. Okay, so, Nvidia's at the high of the day, and we've been holding it, and like I said, man, this is the main reason for the big day today. It's really the only reason. And then recently here as well, putting on some more damage on the TQs. All right, what else you guys want to look at? Any bias for AAPL earnings? Up, I think. I don't know, when do they report? I guess I can look it up. Let me just check out when AAPL reports, and I can give you a much better read right now. AAPL, October the 24th. So later on this week in the pre-market, American Airlines. It's down 5.5% this year, so definitely has some room to run. Short float 13%, that's half decent. I always think that, again, they've been riding sort of the way up there with lower gas and oil prices. I think that really helps, obviously, some of the airlines. We've talked about the Jets ETF, but you've now covered this gap, which is great. Obviously, I'm assuming that was an earnings play right there. fell back in. It can get a lot lower than where we are right now. So for me, for AAL, above the 200, I like it. You guys know that on the daily. So thank you for the question. I do like AAL above those levels. We're getting out some more of the futures, and we're just letting $2.50 runner keep going. I will. On right here on Nvidia. I'm all flustered now because I must go to immediately, or else Fabian will cut my mic over to Adara.
Worth keeping an eye on Qualcomm here. QCOM not moving too much. Its CEO talking a lot about how you can use its new Snapdragon Elite with making apps. And it's actually worth noting here that they have invited Satya Nadella via a video conference to talk about MSFT, Microsoft, and its ongoing partnership with Qualcomm. So keep an eye on QCOM. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella commenting via video chat, pretty similar to what he did with Lisa Su at the AMD conference. So again, Qualcomm and its Microsoft partnership could be on watch here, guys, as we head into the last half hour of the day.
That BIVI, thank you very much, Adara. BIVI actually reopened after that direct offering at $1.50. It is still lower. It just tagged $3, maybe like $2.99, I think. Actually, technically, yeah, maybe $2.99, $3 just got tagged back into the upside. So it does open up eventually. The offering, like I said, it was a direct offering brought to you by Adara. There's also like private placement with warrants at 137. So yeah, obviously gapping to the downside here is BIVI. And if it can't break that $3 area, wait a minute, we probably don't have locates on this. No, we don't have free locates on BIVI. I was just about to say, like, if it doesn't break 3, there might be a nice little pop and fade trade on this, but we have to pay for locates. It's 3:30. It's a little bit late in the day. I don't know if I want to price them out just yet, but I'm going back over to a name that's actually moving. I guess up. I guess this is moving into the downside. At OKLO, there might be a chance for one last salvo here. Like it's setting a bit of a new trend. So if you look at it since the breakout, like it did hold on to 22 even. But if you look at that other trend that got put into that high break, it's still holding on to this pretty decently. And if it does hold that trend, maybe a nice little quick play, 22.20. Like to see it retest. Ideally, so here's the thing. Ideally, like I'd be in it here. The problem is, if you notice it faster, when it holds at 22, it's like, oh, it's holding this trend line. The entry should be here and not late on OKLO. But there might be one more chance to get into it for sure. Rich Evan, thoughts on run for a late day bounce into VWAP? Sunrun? I don't know what's going on here. Oh goodness. Yeah, maybe, but I don't know what's the catalyst for getting this one off the schneid. I mean, the problem, did you say run into VWAP? Yeah, my thoughts on this is maybe just a dead cat bounce. I mean, Sunrun took it on the chin. I mean, look at the TAN ETF. Just look at almost any of those in the group. Like they've been making fresh lows. This lost the 200 period today. I just feel like maybe you're getting a bit of a dead cat bounce, I suppose. There was no reason why I think it's bouncing here. But yeah, that doesn't look very good for Sunrun. But I guess if you played a mean reversion already into the VWAP, you got what you're looking for. But my thoughts are you have a stock which was just trending down all day and caught a little bit of a bid because it's catching a dead cat bounce. There's nothing about where it's bouncing that makes any sense whatsoever. Like if it was bouncing off $11, I think maybe you'd made a temporary bottom. But this just lost the 200 period moving average today, so it's probably still a short in the long run, and this is just like a dead cat bounce at the end of the day here for Sunrun. Let's go to Adara. Time for a sector watch.
We're going to take a look at the largest movers here on the S&P 500 to the upside and the downside. I like to have a theme for this segment. And today's theme, or this afternoon's theme, is going to be names making large moves with deal-related news or rumors. So we're going to start here with CI. This is Cigna. Bloomberg reported late on Friday that this company has resumed its merger discussions with Humana HUM. They did end talks last year, but according to Bloomberg, those talks have resumed. So CI down about 4% on that report. We also have Truist TFC. This one at low of days, more or less here, down almost 3%, agreeing to pay $9.13 million to settle some allegations related to account administration for SunTrust Bank's trust accounts. So keep an eye here in TFC. And last but not least, KV This one actually up more than 5%, though very much removed from day's highs. We had this report from the Wall Street Journal suggesting that Starboard has acquired a, quote, sizable stake in the company. They are an activist investor, so keep an eye on KVUE here as well. Lots of big movers here on deal-related news, guys.
In the energy, and shout out to everyone in the chat, in the TAN space, in the solar space, we got Enphase reporting after the bell tomorrow. So that could be another reason why Run is going to make a run in one direction or the other, but there's the good ones and there's the bad ones and there's the in-between. Run has been one of the bad ones, at least recently. Enphase hasn't done that much better, but yeah, Sunrun, much like Enphase, has been headed lower. So after the bell tomorrow, we're gonna get Enphase. 11% short float. Has been taking it on the chin for quite some time over there on Enphase.
Yeah, watch out for that. Again, another political sector there as we talk about solar names coming through. Oh, yeah, that's right. I was.
They don't win.
I already showed the DJT thing. There, we don't need to talk about it. It's not really moving around too much. All right, just an update now on the futures because we have about 15% left or so of this trade as it just kept on coming back up to the upside. We just get it out at the high of the afternoon, and now it falls back in. We're going to give this one a little bit of room here. We do have those imbalances coming out for you very, very soon. Thank you again for joining us today. This is what the imbalances look like. A couple buy side right now with Walmart, Visa, and AT&T. So those are two big ones. I mean, they're not big names. These imbalances aren't that big. I don't expect much to happen here. So what these imbalances are, just something comes out through our broker. They post on here. They give it to the feed. This is through the Real Trading platform. We do trade on Real Trading software. I've been here for 22 plus years, brought Neil on board as well, and has only been sitting here trading these platforms. And this is something that, again, a lot of you might have something similar in yours. If you do not, ask your broker for an imbalance feed. And that's what we get here. It's called the imbalance feed. And you can definitely get that ASAP. You have Oklo on there. I know Neil's been looking at that as well. It's great to have Ramin back, but we got to go over to Adara ASAP.
This part of the show is brought to you by eSignal. Trade smarter, not harder. Upgrade to an elite trading experience. Analyze, strategize, capitalize. Foresee profitable opportunities with the platform you need. Infinite data and instant trading. Know where the market's moving before others with lightning fast data. Charts that change the game. Customize and analyze markets faster. Your way. Better backtesting and scanning. Predict the future by understanding the past. Reliable real-time data. Up to the second market info from hundreds of global markets. Everything you need all in one place. Don't miss a beat. Execute your best trades now with eSignal. Ready to elevate your trading? Scan the QR code or check the link in the description.
Thank you very much there, Adara. I see this Applied Digital is also moving up around. Gatorman mentioning it a couple of times. You can say it once, we got it. I don't know, you call these bull flags, whatever you want to. Consolidation off the highs. That's basically it. So this one looks maybe spicy tomorrow. Like the reason you look at Oklo is because on volume it's breaking out, but APLD is essentially right at major resistance. You guys can look at a daily chart the same way I can, like $9 breaks, and this thing is going to try to go. So what's the short float on APLD? Ideally, it's got a decent one. 15% short float on APLD. Yeah, it just needs to take out these highs. Like it's as clear as day, like $9, $9. It's at 860. So you're essentially into overhead resistance on this in the nice consolidation here. So Applied Digital, maybe a tomorrow type of runner. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if you gap and take the $9 level. You could see some spiciness happen there. The BIVI, as we mentioned with the offering, it's still challenging that $3 level, but tanking. It was priced at $1.50, so you could still see this possibly drop even further. And that's one of the things you got to worry about with these low float runners. It's one thing when you're day trading it, but if you're going to be holding them overnight or for multiple days, it's good to know if they've already filed, they have a SEC filing for a shelf or for an offering already in the books, then they can drop that at any time, and then you can get caught with a bit of a rug pull with an intraday offering. But sometimes they got to file paperwork. If they got to do it on the fly, it's not going to, they're not going to do an offering one day after it pops. But if they've already made that filing, then this can happen on something like a BIVS. You always have to be very, very careful. It's one thing trading these things. It's another trying to hold on to them for multiple days. The chart looks like it does for a reason. Like it's reverse split. And I'm looking at one reverse split, but it could have easily done more than that. And they do it for a reason. Because it goes penny stock. They're just trying to stay on the NASDAQ. And every now and then you get a pump, but usually it's followed by a bit of a dump.
Ooh, 20% off rides. Uber. Nice. Okay, DJT.
Oh my God.
As we continue to go, oh, you're trying to get this in my head? All right, I see that right there. As we're trying to get it going, now there it goes. Congratulations to everybody who's in DJT. You got yourself a chicken dinner winner right there. We barbecued some wings last night. Well received, well received. The burrata was probably better received. There it goes, upside right there into 31.65. We've already gotten out of this one, but congratulations for everybody trading that DJT. We liked it at 30. We hit it and quit it. We're up on DJT today. Good stock right there. It's P&L number 3 for all shows, across all shows. So that's going to be a good one there. Siata upside. We've only traded 4 names today. And DJT, Siata, Nvidia, and the futures. This name, we're able to get out of it. That's not the Siata chart. It's not at $31. It's at $1.90. My most recent long-term, well, I told you it's not really long-term. It's right here, right now. It's Uber. Again, I like the stock. I like the technology. I like the business. We'll wait to see. Again, it's a little bit, now that I think about this, potentially a little bit risky as we talk about Uber versus whatever Elon might wind up saying in the next couple of days as he comes out with their report for Tesla. So we'll have to see if there is sort of any fallout into Uber. Like, what if he announces a sooner date for the robo-taxis? That could definitely affect this. This is October the 23rd. Again, down 12% year to date on Tesla. So room to run on this name, and I like it, but I think I like Uber a little bit better right now. Buying it again, look, this is why I bought it, man. Closing this gap right here. We'll see if we can get something lower into 74. We did get, I guess we didn't get our full fill because I got more shares today in XBI as it came back in. So we got more, at 99.05 or 90, I have to see the fill, 99.01, something like that. We just got another note that we got more filled. So I feel like that first day when we got them, we must have just got partial, I guess. And I just didn't pay attention to it. It's a very, very starter position, but I like XBI down 2% here today as biotechs. This is going to be for the longer term. If we can get anything back into the 200, that's generally where we would try to have like maybe 50% of our position that we're looking for. So if I'm looking to invest 10 grand in the name, hopefully I can have $5,000 worth or so. If we come in, just a rough number there, just throwing those out for simple math. If we can come back into the 200 period, that's always been good buy zones for many names, except for a name like a Microsoft right now as we sort of figure out where this name wants to go. This is only up 11% year to date, which is kind of a surprise to me, considering that the S&P and the NASDAQ both up more than 20% each in what was thought of as, one of the stronger names in the space here for cloud and one that could have a possible moat around it. We talked about the popularity of ChatGPT and whatnot. And I was like, oh man, Google's such a major percentage of my holding, but it's actually outperforming Microsoft this year. So I may slide into, I can see a path forward more for Google than Microsoft, but this is that 200 period that I'm talking about. Like I said, if I was just loading up all the time at the 200 period, then this would be something right here to think about getting right now as you just hover around that 200 period moving average. I'm not. I'm already, like I would buy Microsoft $30, $40 like way back in the day. And I'm not in the business right now of averaging into any of these names all the way up here. We've bought Microsoft since those days. I'm talking about 20 years ago. But these things go through ebbs and flows, and right now, Microsoft is not the chosen one. The chosen one,
it's a bit of an ebb.
Yeah, exactly. The chosen one right now is Meta, although that's faded off of 600 a little bit as well. And then you have Netflix, that's all the way up there as well. And then obviously, the name that, I would think right here, this is my largest holding. I'll have to readjust and re-look at that, but I'm trying to stay away. Palantir's had such a monster run. Nvidia's had such a monster run, but I am actually taking the strategy now of hold, don't trade. I don't need to get out of Nvidia. We've already gotten out of some of that one. Just every day it seems to want to do the dance. So I think smart man, smart money would be to hold on to this Nvidia and just see where it goes. I mean, again, our charts aren't going to sort of tell the truth because they don't split adjust for now. But this is what a weekly chart looks like on Nvidia here. This is brought to you by eSignal. I mean, come on, man. We recently bought right here at 104. And now you're just I bought 104, let's say a month and a half ago. All right, you're now at 140. So you're up 35% in a month and a half. When really, I just feel like negativity over that last month and a half has been piling on the chip space. We're overdone, we're overbought, this and that. But no, it just keeps on making that move to the high side. We've seen problems with Intel, obviously. We've seen problems with AMD and all the other names. Micron puts up a great number. Stock soars, right? I mean, Nvidia, what do you think kind of number they're going to put up? We haven't even talked about Blackwell. They haven't talked about that yet. So we're going to have to give it a little bit of room to run even higher, as Nvidia, even higher, today is at all-time highs. So there it is. As long as you have held Nvidia and not sold it, I mean, I spoke to my dad the other day, and he goes, Sean, when we got into this thing at $11, like during COVID, what the heck? Right now it's 142. And I mean, this is the thing. Not a new story, and it's not going to get old anytime soon. I still like the stock. There goes the TQs right back up to the upside. $2.30 in the money on that Nvidia trade. And right now, the NASDAQ, we did withhold that VWAP. Now we're hitting around the 50-period moving average. Let's put an offer right now to get something out at 57, 56. We'll take a 57 if we can get it. Maybe we'll just punch some out just in case. But so far, there we are. We got 56s and 57s right there as a couple more outs in the futures as we take this in. Only 15 minutes to go. I really do like Amazon.
Fortunately, bounces. You know what? The reason I'm very disappointed in Microsoft, because the two recent ones that I bought on that panic August bottom, I only got into two things that day. It was a good opportunity to buy literally any stock. It doesn't matter what you bought in the tech space. They're all up. But it was Meta and Microsoft. And one of them, like Meta's obviously done one thing and Microsoft has done the other, which is disappointing overall. Let's see their Azure number. I think they can put up a good number there. It's got some room to rally. The early look in the imbalances we showed you hasn't actually changed. There's still just Visa and AT&T above 1 million shares. So at 350, I'm not expecting a heck of a lot of anything. Apple did press underneath 36 again, but it just didn't follow through into VWAP. So we tightened up our stop, like I said, tightened it to break even, and we just got out break even. I don't see anything. Unless an imbalance hits, that's out of nowhere. I'm not seeing anything crazy. Oklo did make that next press to the upside. OKLO over there on the New York. I'm telling myself that, so I don't type in a NASDAQ. And did get to 23. So it did a bit of it was a weird one because it did like a reversal candle in there and then just snapped back up off the 22 level. So it was nothing like this where you got a consolidation at the higher low and then it went. It literally liquidity grabbed and then snapped back to the upside like very quickly the first 20 pennies and then made a fresh high. So, I was kind of anticipating more of a structured opportunity to get back into that one. It just didn't happen. It essentially just flew to 23, and now it's way too late to be catching a falling knife on one of these names. I think it's probably in the pullback phase. Did get to $23. I think looking for something on this tomorrow after it's already broken out, I'd be much more interested in, I'm looking at this SMR, which I think we mentioned, and if we didn't, my intention was, it's been lulling you to sleep, SMR, and holding on to this 17.5. And there's an old saying, and it's not an old saying, I mean, Lucas said it, if it doesn't break the low, there's only one place to go. So it's just been consolidating 17.5. Sure, it's failing $20, but it can fail $20 a bunch of times. And if it never loses 17.5, eventually you're going to take out the top on this thing. So this is kind of an inside consolidation day, which is fine. Sometimes these runners, it's exactly when you're like, oh, this stopped going. It's just going sideways. Does that for a few days, and that's when you get the big breakout, not even necessarily needing a catalyst. So another hold of the $17.5 level here today for Oklo. That's poised to break it out the top. Now, obviously, it has to actually break that top. We'll see this week. Every day that it holds 17.5, that breakout trade gets a little bit tighter because it's like, longer it holds the channel, the better I think the break is going to be on SMR.
All right. Yeah, thanks, Bob, for mentioning that there. Bob Curran in the chat, as we are still long Nvidia. We've been long all day. The very first trade executed today. Well, I mean, I did get SYTA before the market opened, but this one we were very, very patient. We waited for the 140. And again, the reason why I feel like very, very proud of this stock here is because we actually mentioned it, be patient, wait for this. We don't have to do anything else. We just have to wait for 140 and for it to trigger out. And then we just use our trading mind again and take the long off VWAP, dips it into 140. I mean, you guys were right here as this was happening. All of us watching, anybody obviously, had an opportunity to get long this 140 the second time. We stood there and trusted it, and then now it's closing at the end of the day. Have that ability, have that in your back pocket, please. All right, and this is what we're doing also right now. And again, look what's happening right now to the futures as we continue to go higher and higher. Yeah, I just hope you guys can see these trades coming through. I mean, much more relaxed, much more chilled out. We're 4 for 4 today. We've been having a banger of a day. We'll sit here and sip some coffee, and we don't even have to really go over anything. All the trades are pretty obvious. I mean, this was dipped into VWAP. We like that hold today. NASDAQ basically flat all day, and yet we're putting this up, right? I mean, this is what you got to do, trade the right names. All right, Tesla breaking through 220 maybe as a possibility. Tesla's really starting to go. There are the imbalances that are now out. I was pretty light on most things. So, wow, it looks like we did have Nvidia with a sell imbalance right there. And Nvidia saying, that's a nice story as it goes right back up to the high of the day. APLD, who cares? Lucid, Sofi with the sell as well, as that's coming back in a little bit. So, yeah, not too much action except for an Nvidia sell, which shoots Nvidia right up to the high of the day. Man, we're 40 handles in the money on the futures. We're $3 in the money on Nvidia. Who next is what we say. What's next is tomorrow, and we'll be back with more trades all about then. Yeah, I should have got peach tea, but instead I got a coffee. Got hockey after this. It should be a fun night, but I just wanted to have another sip of coffee. I'll be getting, generally speaking, I'll drop, my wife does the locker room stuff with all the girls, so I'll drop her off. They got to be there about 30 to 45 minutes before practice, and so I'll drop her off. I'll go grab some coffees, and I've been switching over to some tea there later on, as her practice tonight is 6 to 7. And then they normally have dry land after that, but I think tonight they have a team meeting. And then we'll see what happens after that. Yeah, so far so good here today. Thank you guys for watching as we just continue to. We will close at our highest spot all day. All the trades that we put on for you this afternoon have been winners because it's only been the TQQs. So again, very, very simple, basic kind of trading. And that's what we've been doing here today. It's going to be us putting up a number, and we're going to try to do that every single day, right? Trade. And we always talk about this. All of us have completely different styles. You will trade double or triple the amount of names that I do. Sharif will trade a little small cap runners. Joe likes to focus his specialty there, obviously on the futures market. So all of us will have different things about it. And the most important thing about all of this is you guys just do you. I mean, that's what it is. We're here to give you setups. Like I told you, these are the trades I'm putting on. You know, sometimes it can be hard to hold. And we talk about this, you know, increase amount of shares while doing the show. We're trying to do our best. But right now, we've been doing that. You have to be calm. You have to be relaxed. And that's what we are here now today. With only 8 minutes left, I guess there's some earnings tonight.
Well, I mean, tonight, the bigger ones, look, the bigger names are going to come later. I just wanted to quickly, that APLD, I've looked to see if there's maybe some kind of an action on it. There isn't anything going on. It's just a random 1.6 million shares to the buy side. And it did break out, so it did continue to go. It's now up 8% and continuing to run higher and higher here. So it is a good look for it. I just thought, like, it's weird, not used to, like, seeing one of these, like, running stocks or like low, I don't want to call it a low float runner, but that's more or less what they are. Not used to them having an imbalance. So I just assumed that maybe there was some kind of an index action happening there. It's just NUE and SAP on the earnings look. Nothing gigantic. The big names, obviously, we're going to get solar tomorrow, and then on Wednesday the big one is going to be Tesla. But it should be a fun one. Today we're going to have Michael Noss. He'll come on through. We were supposed to have him on last week in the morning. Unfortunately, that got kiboshed. We had him this morning, and I'm going to ask him a little bit about this inevitable, trend that does not break on BTC. Because I'm of the standpoint that the more times you fail a high, sometimes the juicier that it gets when it eventually breaks. I'm wondering whether he believes that as well. So you guys let me know if you have any questions for him. Let us know, and we can talk about. I know he's going to want to talk about that days to cover on the shorts, which I think is a good indicator. Although the day that something already is going nuts, you know it's going to be doing volume and probably
Holy Jesus.
ridiculous amounts of volume in there. So in a couple minutes, I'm going to get on mosey up to the desk. I have to cancel some orders in there, make sure I don't have anything popping in late.
Yeah, there it is, man. $3 in the money now on Nvidia. 1, 2, 3. So there we go. 1, 2, 3. As we go to the high side there for Nvidia, we might as well, I mean, I don't know. You want to punch longer at 143? I mean, nothing's stopping this name. It's going to break through 143 and get a heck of a lot higher into the close. But again, with only 5 minutes left, I don't want to be silly about this and be wrong. We're going to go 4 for 4 today. This is the biggest trade probably of the week, probably of the month. Unless I put on another one here, this will be the biggest one. So there it goes, man. Huge move to the upside, 143 right now for Nvidia. And by the way, now 60 handles.
Another one.
Look at the TQs right now. 65 handles now in the money. Bye-bye as it goes. And there goes Nvidia. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Breaking through 143 goes Nvidia right now. 340 now in the, well, maybe, I don't know what we just touched there. 330 now in the money, 340 in the money, going higher and higher and higher. This is the hot dog play of the day. Make sure you find me at Trader TV Sean, where we'll give these trades to you every single day, and I just hope to be in them every single day. There it is, man. It's Nvidia. It's 140. It's absolutely fantastic as it continues to climb the rest of the way. I want to thank everybody for watching, man. I mean, maybe I'll just get out now. That was a big move there for Nvidia. Let's just wrap a bow on this damn one, and there it is right there. It is going to be your biggest trade, maybe of the month there, $3, holding it on the beginning of the day, right there into the close. Well talked about, well documented. The chips be rocking right there today. And as the chips go up, oh boy, there is our play here on the TQQ. So let's flip that over right now and go show you 60 handles now in the money. As real sees real, we talk about that all the time. And there goes Nvidia back into the high of the day. So again, much more calm. Take the trades you like, man. We built all of these trades out for you. We even talked about, remember when we got this fill here at 26 and our stop was at 20? That's 6 cents right there. This is a 10 to 1 winner right there posted. So that's 10 to 1. So we'll give some props up to that one as we go big time on the TQQs into the end of the day. FXI not doing a whole heck of a lot. Google moving around. I thought you were getting up. Are you staying there?
No, I was just making sure that I got some orders up.
Okay, yeah. Okay, no, I didn't know if you want to say something. I didn't want to be. Waiting.
I have that blotter refresh thing went up, but I'm pretty sure all my stops are canceled. Those look like going to be good to go. There was a flip to the buy side on Nvidia, and then that if you're watching that APLD, that did pair off. So there was a big imbalance on that low float runner. It paired off at 355. It's no longer gone. Nvidia went from a sell to a buy. That was the big. The timing of it was about that 355, just before that 355 move. But I'm going to get on to the desk. Got a mosey on. Good luck. Good luck tonight. Good luck with whatever. She is going to knock it up.
Yeah. For her, she's
how she rolls. But good luck in your matchup. I need some things to happen tonight for myself. But,
no, I don't need any luck. I'm done. I'm 1-1. It's already sealed.
I have an outside shot at 2-0.
It's a wrap.
Outside shot.
Right there. Yeah.
See you guys at the desk. Market recap in just a couple of minutes.
Yeah, 2.5 minutes. All right, see ya. All right, now we'll just wait. Again, man, we just took out some more Qs up there at $75. I mean, this has been the high of the day, it looks like, for the NASDAQ, and we make it all the way back into, pre-market highs. Sure, we opened up there at 930 right there. And again, good move upside. We just kind of went and then we came back in. This is why we went short early on the NASDAQ and then all of a sudden damage done late as it just continues to rock up. Looks like we had a good fill there. I hope so anyways on Nvidia. I don't need to retweet anything else. Thank you so much for everybody there into the close as it was a big day and it just continues to get a little bit bigger there on Nvidia. We can, let's get rid of the source here because right now we only have broker. We just want to see New York and NASDAQ to see what is left. And now we will sort it by size again and see if there's anything half decent left right there. So SHY, Intel with a sell. And again, this is what I'm talking about. It's the alpha, right? You could be sitting in Intel and be like, oh, great, I bought at 21 and it's at 22, 23. Great opportunity. It's just a matter of being able to buy the bottoms and being able to trade out of it. That's why I really like Nvidia because you don't need to trade out of this thing. Every day it seems to make these kind of moves and you just got to be patient to catch it. Look at Nvidia off the 50-period moving average. It is an absolute rocket ship. And guess what will be trade idea number 1 tomorrow? I don't know. You're going to have to come in and see. All right, we'll find out about that later on. Huge buys for Nvidia. You're right, Mike Guardian. I mean, it just comes in. Look at the volume there at the end of the day on this name. We're long from the beginning of the day at 140. It's listed on here. I mean, we're not going to be right all the time. It looks like we are right now. With only a minute to go, thank you so much for watching. Look at the futures. We just got out at 75. I mean, what else are we supposed to do? That was a VWAP take right there into that high. This is what, for me, what really makes a difference. Being able to do things like this, be able to hold for 70 handles when we have a 6-handle runner to the bottom if we lose. I mean, that right there, risk to reward. We just got to find more of them. Well, not really. We'll do okay. Where's DJT right here into the close? We only have now 20 seconds left. 31.30, DJT, another well-traded stock. We'll find out where that goes. What's up, Fabian? There's Adara getting ready to ring this bell as we go with only now 15 seconds left. I'm going to find the countdown, and there it is right there. Now we got less than 10 seconds to go. This bell brought to you by Real Trading. Get your Real Trading ready to go today. RealTrading.com, 2 and 1. That's a nice. Congratulations, everybody today. I like that look. Thank you for the great day. I mean, NVIDIA is right now at 143.60. Just make sure you dot your I's, cross your T's on that one. Make sure that you're not too overexposed. I'm not going to be selling any of that. Up another 4% today as the NASDAQ is zeros. So just remember that. Like, these names could easily fall back down. We'll wait to see what's going to wind up happening. I still like the stock. I like Uber. I like the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ closes above 20,500. So that's been pretty good. It has been a very, very choppy day. That's why we stayed true to what we're doing. There's the cues. We didn't even start this trade until 12 o'clock, and it's the number 2 P&L name on the show today. Nvidia, we started that right away. This is going to be number 1. DJT, number 3 today. And look at this, hit it and quit it. We're learning different strategies for different situations. It's been a blast. Ramin's ready. Neil's ready. Fabian's ready. Adara's ready. They're actually not ready, so you got to stay with me for a couple more seconds. We do have tonight on Amazon Prime, for the very first time, it is NHL on Prime tonight. So that should be a lot of fun. Check your Toronto Maple Leafs taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning tonight, which should be a battle. It's a battle of Eastern Conference teams right now. I'm doing this audition in case someone wants to, hit me up for a sports podcast or anything like that. We can show our versatility. We wait to re-engage our podcast room there. Again, thank you, Bears vs. Bulls. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you for everybody. We aren't going to do roll call now, but we will flip it over. It's Neil with the market recap. My hat's off to you guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you very much there. And go Leafs, go. Why not? Tampa is going to be a big one tonight. Obviously, a couple of good matchups there. We have some fantasy football that I'm worried about tonight as well. But the market is not worried whatsoever when it comes to the chip names. Now, it's one of those days where it's not as if we're blasting on the NASDAQ. And as a matter of fact, when I show you guys what the SPY did today, you'll be like, what? Why the exuberance to the upside? Well, we'll get to that in a quick little bit. But overall, the NASDAQ up only 0.2%. That said, it's not always about the move on the day, but I think sometimes the reaction intraday will tell you something. Because we double tap the bottom, which when you get this kind of a V shape on the Qs, you double tap the bottom. For us to close almost back at the highs is bullish. How you finish the day matters, and the Qs decided that we're going to finish strong, led by a host of names. It was Nvidia leading the charge. They weren't the only ones that tried to press through the highs. Unfortunately, we showed Apple couldn't break out those fresh highs. Some of the other chip names try and drag the Qs up. It was the SPY that I think when you look at what's going on here in the SPY, ended up the day down, did not do as good of a challenge off the bottom. It made fresh lows when the Qs were bouncing off highs or bouncing off the morning lows and doesn't get back into the top. That said, you have to keep in mind the SPY are at the top. The Qs haven't gotten there yet on the daily. The SPY are at that high, and so it's a little bit trickier for they get that continuation, I think, off of levels like that. There's not a lot in terms of earnings. We are expecting SAP at 405, and then we don't get NUE until about 4:50. 30. So SAP is going to be the first one that does come in, expecting them at about 405 there. So we'll see what happens there. One of the nastiest moves. Now, obviously, as Sean was alluding to, anything related to solar, like TAN, First Solar, Sunrun, all of these names are going to be highly correlated to what's going on with the election. So with the betting odds going in the other direction, it is not looking good. The TAN ETF was down 1%, made fresh lows, continuing to break down lower on this daily, and it's not looking good at all. We're going to get earnings out of Enphase tomorrow, but obviously you're seeing a nasty move to the downside on the TAN ETF. Another fresh low got made. One name that we've been talking about on the breakouts point has been a little bit of silver. I want to go to SLV because SLV made the break on Friday, was absolutely parabolic to the upside. And then today, while up, it was a bit of a consolidation off of the top. Now, gold has been making fresh highs for quite some time now, but you finally got silver to the party. People will talk about it as being a manipulated market, but now it's just going with everything else. What I love about what happened here is when you had that pullback, it goes right into prior support. There was your bounce. It had a nice trade back into VWAP, and you end up closing back into the green. And I'll tell you one thing, Adara.
Yes.
First off, it's good to have you back.
Great to be back. Thank you.
In the markets, and we've said this before, I know Sean and I would talk about this all the time. It's one thing that, especially for novice traders, if you're looking at the trend or if you're looking at a short-term trend on things, how you end the day ends up mattering. So a stock can be trend down for most of the day. But if it catches a good support level or it closes back going red to green right at the end of the day or closes on that high, even if it doesn't make a new one, that can always be a good thing to look forward to, especially because late money matters more. In the markets, most money gets made overnight holding. If you look overall at the S&P 500 over like any time frame you want that's over a year, generally speaking, you are going to make more money holding it overnight than you are intraday. The intraday moves are nice for trading, but it's where that close money gets put in that is a little more interesting. But I got to ask you,
Yes.
we talked about you on Netflix on Friday. Adara, did you trade any Netflix today? Because
I did.
it was moving pretty well. My first thought was no one was trading Netflix today. We barely even talked about it post-earnings. So what were you doing over there on Netflix?
I did trade Netflix quickly. I'll go over these SAP earnings first, though. So this is SAP. Okay. I'm not seeing how this compares because I'm seeing these numbers in euros, but apparently they had revenue here, cloud revenue anyways, up 25%. I'm not seeing what that number is. And then it's up 27% constant currencies. Positive comments here from their CEO and CFO. I'm just waiting to see how this compares in terms of the USD amount because that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing analysts looking for revenue of 9.26 billion USD, EPS of $1.31 USD.
Yeah, just very quickly. It's only up 3%, but keep in mind the implied move was 8% for SAP here. So you're expecting 8, you're actually getting a 4% move. That said, it is breaking fresh highs. So obviously, a lot of times it's a little bit trickier to follow through on a breakout trade more than anything else, and that's what it seems like happening here over in SAP. So the earnings are out, as Adara just mentioned, but it's up, but it's not ridiculously higher. So right now, only about 4% when expecting 8, Adara.
So we did have a beat here for earnings per share. So they reported €1.23. 1.23 euros, I guess, here per share versus estimates of 1.22. So slight narrow EPS beat. They did miss, though, on sales. 8.470 billion euros versus estimates of 8.479 billion euros. So 8.47 versus 8.479 billion expected here for SAP and its Q3 2024 sales, guys.
There you go. Thank you very much, Adara, for that. So we'll keep an eye on it. If it does anything, again, it's not a huge move based on expectations for SAP, but not necessarily one that we expect to be a gigantic runner. I just want to give a quick look at what is going on. That Oklo really starting to pull back in. Actually, this is the one we were trading in the afternoon, pulling right back in. Doesn't end up holding on to that 22. It matters how it finishes. I want to see this hold on to the 22 level just for my want of continuation on this play. It's trying to hold on to those prior highs. So that's one I was looking at. I know we're going to have Michael on in a quick little second, but I did want to give you a chance to go over Netflix because Netflix didn't get any coverage today, and that was the biggest and baddest of the movers. Really, I mean, big cap, small cap, it was all over the place on Friday. But Netflix, what was your look on the trade there?
So basically what I did was I traded Netflix. It was holding like a teeny tiny tight range with lower highs. Base is around 769.50. I said if it breaks below that in any way on the ask, I would like to go short. So basically I was seeing near the end of the midday, it was getting to that level. I was like, dope, cool. I knew I had my P-Pro 8 logged into my computer, so I go to my computer. My computer is doing like, the screen's black. I'm like, okay, kind of weird. This becomes relevant in a minute. And so then I take the trade, works out, we get 40% out. So I got short 769 with plans to add it. It gave me the opportunity to at 769.50s. So we didn't end up getting the add. We did get out 40% of the position at 767.70, so we took like $1.20 on that part of the position. The plan was to stop out at 770s because that was going to be the prior or the current bar high there in the 15-minute candle. I wanted to move my stop because I realized, oh my gosh, we're going to bounce. I like the 767.70s because that was that previous high. Unfortunately, because as I said, my computer had turned off, it would not let me access the area, the history log, where you can cancel your orders. So I couldn't cancel my stop, and I didn't want to have a situation where I was like, had this stop run, I was sitting a new stop. So I said, guess we're going to have to see if this gets run. Because it was a spready ticker, I ended up getting out 42 cents higher than I wanted to. So instead of getting stopped out 770s, I got stopped out 770.42. Because of the size of the position and the fact I already took some profit, I was basically flat, like slightly red on it. But the point is, next time, make sure your system's all clear before you start trying to take trades. Learned a lot from it. I will not be able to post it, unfortunately, because I tried to log back in for the screenshot. And what happens with P-Pro 8 when it gives you like the weird choppy? Yep. Yeah. So I'm not going to be able to post that, but that was the essence of the trade. I will likely tweet about it later tonight as well. Thank you for letting me wax poetic.
Yeah, no worries, Darren. Thank you. Only because I felt like you might have gone short because you were going short on Friday. Mm-hmm. But before we go to Michael Loss, I just wanted to show what that looks like here on the chart because this is the short area here. You can see it rounding into the bottom. It kind of fails the 770 for good, makes that hold of 767, and then there's the shot back into the upside. Now, slippage happens on Netflix because it's got a bigger spread. That's why sometimes you want to tighten things up when they're coming back in the money because suddenly that looks like a good breakout trade. There's probably some people going breakout long over 770 is going to be my guess. But shout out to you, Adair. I think that's, it's a good place to be. I still want them to do a split. They don't seem to want to split for us over there in Netflix, which is kind of annoying. I think eventually they're going to. A couple more quarters, at least, one more quarter like they just have, and they're going to have to do some kind of a split. You can't let the stock get to $1,000 without giving everybody what they want, in my opinion, which would make it easier for everyone that wants to play some options in there. But as we promised, we've got the NOS boss locked and loaded and ready. We talked to him this morning, and he's back, and he's lumberjacked on up there, Mr. NOS, looking rather sharp for some trader talk. Wait a minute, that's not... Hit it again. There we go. Well, what did it do the first time? Boom. The button does whatever it wants to do, but you guys know we got the NOS boss in the house for a little bit of trader talk. Michael, I haven't seen you since this morning. Good to see you. How was the day treating you?
Good to see you too. Day's been pretty uneventful, but I can't complain about that. Market's just kind of chopping around, so means I get to spend more time outside raking leaves as they're starting to go crazy out there now.
Well, believe me, I know all about. My neighbor is a maple tree, and it's ridiculous. The volume, it's completely insane, and he was out there pretty much the entire day. Thankfully, I haven't had to do any raking just yet, but I'm lucky in that regard. Obviously, it's good fall time fun. I was up north at my in-laws, and they have a bunch of land up there, and they have the maple syrup, so maple trees out the wazoo. They made a gigantic pile. All the kids were jumping in said pile. My daughter's hair collects, leaves in a way that, obviously is different from others. And I'm telling you, we had to put her cap on. Like, we couldn't even get it cleaned out. It was completely insane. We're like trying to pick it out. Eventually, like, whatever, just put the cap on and we'll do a shower when you get home. But, it's a good, I love the fall fun. It's the best. Yeah, but you know what else we like?
For sure.
We like bull markets, Michael. I like bull markets. I like bull flags. But I got to ask you, because I said this on Bitcoin, I like a consolidation lower high top like it's putting in, the longer it holds that trend and eventually puts in a higher low off it, the breakout is going to be that much better. So I don't know if that's your thought, but I don't mind if you have something you're waiting to break out on, if it just keeps on fail to break, fail to break, fail to break, fail to break, higher low, because that just means maybe you'll have a bunch of frustrated people by the time it does, and then boom, you get some real follow through. So what are your thoughts on BTC? Because I feel like it's geared up. If it puts in a higher low on that daily, we don't retrace that bottom, I think we could be good to go.
Yeah, and this is a good Brian Shannonism of if they don't scare you out, they'll wear you out. And I think Bitcoin's trying to do both. So yeah, I've got it up on the chart here. I'm just using IBIT as the ETF. And yeah, on the daily chart, it's just been hitting this line over and over and over again. And everyone who is a technician, I think everyone who isn't a technician is just waiting for this breakout, because in the longer context of this giant cup and handle that's happening, if we break out, there's so much kind of pent up energy that's going on here that I think things could get very interesting. I think 100,000 is definitely on the table on a strong break, but it continues to bounce up. And what we saw this morning was really interesting to me with the weekend. Was phenomenal. It looked great. I mentioned this morning I was watching crypto a little bit too much last night. I'm a little bit tired, but it looked amazing. Everything, there was momentum behind it. And then all of a sudden, like a dime, it flipped. It started to sell and it sold off most of the morning all day, but was able to find a little bit of a bid here and push higher. So I'm 100% with you. If that little flush or flash crash gets bid up quickly and we put in a higher low, or if we just start to move higher from here over, call it $40 on IBIT, I still think it's on the table, but I think a lot of people got slapped on that last little push. So the question is, how quickly do they recover? If they recover incredibly quickly, then I still think Bitcoin is on. And for me, yes, I own Bitcoin, so I want it to move higher, but I like Bitcoin as an overall kind of synopsis of the market because it's to me, it's the perfect risk-on indicator. People aren't buying Bitcoin if they're worried about recessions and the economy and all of this kind of stuff, because it's risk-on. It's a risky type of event. So if Bitcoin's breaking out, you got to imagine that the rest of the stocks are participating with it. Yeah,
I agree with you on that. I have a question asked from technically. I hope you don't mind going over this because obviously you're a technical trader. You trade off the technicals, not the fundamentals. And when you have a channel like this on BTC, which is it's so distinct, it's not just that it's making lower highs, it's also making sort of lower lows in this flag pattern. Now, if you take a breakout trade above something like this, do you have a predetermined target where you look at the range that it's basically been putting in, and it's a clean one. If we're talking about IBIT specifically, the top will be 41.70, it'll make a low at about 32, so call $8 or 20%, it'll make another test of the top, and then it's another 20% retracement. Does that automatically set up, if this thing breaks out, take profit when it goes 20%? Is it that kind of a thing that you might look for when this does eventually break out, or do you just say, hey, look, we'll maybe follow a trend line or wait for a support and resistance level to show up? Because when I look at something like that with that distinct higher low and lower highs and lower lows, I'm thinking if the range was that long in this flag, then why not look for that as first target to the upside on any kind of a sustained breakout?
Well, I'm going to make some Bitcoin bulls, I think, pretty excited with this. So I was just drawing here. So I have the chart of, this is just the pure coin here, as opposed to looking at IBIT. And what I did is how it says in the textbook, the old school Edwards and McGee technical analysis when it comes to a cup and handle, how you pick targets on a cup and handle break is you take the cup and you take the low of from this high right here to the low of the cup. You copy that move from the breakout point, and that's technically your target. Now, no one get too excited, but that's $320,000 a coin if you're going to follow this move. Now, will I trade that? Do I have it in me to buy more Bitcoin on a breakout and hold it to 320,000? Absolutely not. I'm not even going to say that now. So I think what you were saying is probably the right move, Neil. You have an asset that has a history of making insane runs. I think putting a cap or a profit target of I just want to make this much money for that type of instrument isn't the move. I think you need to either pick a trend line or a moving average or some sort of ATR trailing stop or something like that, and use that as your guide to try to give it as much room as you can, so that if you're right, you can really get those outsized gains, and if you're wrong, you're out quickly. I think that's the move on something like this, that if we break out and we do it with kind of enough volume and strength, I think something's going to happen. I don't know if it's just a little bit of a pop-up and a move back, but if you want to get really old school technical, then that's the 320,000 a coin is the target from this particular pattern.
Which I did believe that you would have out there for us. I know I can put you on the spot, and you're going to give us the technical analysis of the trade, no questions asked. So I appreciate that, Michael. There was just for the viewers here, Dara just put in the chat. Nike extended an NBA apparel partnership. Nike's going to need some help, so hopefully that's going to be good for them. I guarantee you that Nike doesn't have a gigantic short float or gigantic days to cover like Mind Medicine does. And I've got something. The last time we were on, I probably mentioned this to you about things that set up for squeezes or breakouts after they've given a death cross, which you might have just gotten some people into a short after that 50 breaks at 200 on the daily. Well, MindMed here sets that one up. And as you've been talking about not just short floats, but as days to cover, 14 sounds pretty good to me, Michael. So 38% short float. I mean, obviously, I would say it has a trend to break to the downside. Do you ever front run a squeeze play, or does it have to break the trend line for you? Because if you've already got a support level, do you just want to get a little bit in, maybe off like a 50 period? You wait for it to break at 200. I'm just wondering because this one, 14 days to cover is huge, and you don't want to necessarily wait till it's already going.
Yeah, and I'll always, full disclosure, I'm in a little bit of MindMed. I'll always let you guys know that. And my play was just like you mentioned, trying to front run it a bit. So I have the chart up here, and this $5 area, I got to zoom in to kind of show you guys a little bit better, but this $5 area back during this long base, and this was a very long base that happened here. We talked about, stage 1, stage 2. This to me seems like a bit of an accumulation base where there could be people that are putting some fair value on the stock and saying, hey, this is a pretty big base right here. When we broke that, we had this pretty wild move from $5 to nearly 12, so over double. And then when we came back down to $5, and what I was watching, I'm not in from down there, but I got in a little bit around 6. And the reason I've been talking about this, and the reason I've been tweeting about this is in the exact same space as that drug stock that,
Right.
You'd have to be living under a rock not to see this thing going from, a couple cents up to $80. And my theory was, if it's in the same space as this particular stock, then there may be a lot of money that was made there that's wants to flow into other psychedelic related stocks. So as I'm going through the list, I see that level of support, or that prior resistance that was holding as support pretty perfectly. And then yes, this 38% short float that represents 14 days to cover. So if there's some sort of squeeze, because I don't think anyone really ever figured out what happened with drug there. It just seemed like it was kind of maybe a large chat room or something that pumped it. If those people move on to something like this, like a MindMed with a 40% short float and 14 days to cover, that could get pretty wild. We maybe see back up to that $12. If it breaks that $12 and starts squeezing, maybe something crazy could happen. And I know, worst case scenario, I have this $5 line in the sand. So I'm in a little bit from 6. If we close below 5, it's time to go on it. It's more of a, I hate the word, but lotto ticket play kind of thing. If we have this event that no one can predict where people are going to move from drug into MindMed, then I think it's worth me risking $1 a share to potentially make, $5, $6, $10 a share if things really get crazy.
Yeah, and well, I mean, they already got crazy on drug, as Adara just mentioned that drug sobered up because SOBR was one of the movers last week as well. But Adara, I believe, has a question for you with regards to risk management on trading a squeeze name like this, Michael.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I do. Hi, Michael. Thanks for being with us. Happy to be back here with you guys. I saw as well here that you posted on your X account about WULF, that Wolf, another kind of smaller cap name. I guess with all of these small caps running lately, as Sharif would call it small cap season, how do you factor in risk management and stops into these types of trades or stocks just due to the potential extra risks, extra slippage? In a name like DRUG, we saw that thing move up and down $7 like nobody's business. So I guess how would you approach factoring in risk when it comes to these type of heavily shorted often as well names?
Yeah, I think this is where, and you guys know I'm not a fundamental analyst, but I think the bare minimum of fundamental analysis helps. Something like drug, they're a company that operates in a sector that's not even legal, and all of these companies are hoping to make that that breakthrough that will make them worth 100x what they are now, if they can start doing the things that they're doing. TeraWulf becomes a little bit differently, and I do have the chart up here, where it's a Bitcoin miner. Now, what I think may be happening with this and why it had this great breakout today, even with Bitcoin's down move, was it uses nuclear energy, and I think anything that has even associated nuclear energy is going to go crazy. So in a trade like this, I can manage my risk a lot more traditionally, which is to say, worst case, I'm putting a stop at $4 under this prior swing low because I took this breakout. I mentioned that it's in a system that I'm playing with and I'm running now. So I can size this way more accordingly, that if it gets to $4 overnight, that's fine. Knowing that this is a Bitcoin miner, they make money, they have some cash out hand. I'm not too worried about that. Like I mentioned this morning, if I'm ever trading drug, if I'm ever long something like this, I'm treating it like a call option. I'm owning enough shares that if I wake up the next morning and it's at zero, I'm slightly upset, but I'm not going to be outside my house holding a cup. That's the way I look at this, because at some point, this company that went from absolutely nothing to worth a lot is going to use this inflated price to dilute its shares and raise money off of retail. It's going to happen at some point. So this one, I wouldn't be shocked if you wake up and this is $20 tomorrow. I wouldn't be shocked if you wake up this is $100 tomorrow. So I think that has to have a lot to do with it. So I don't know if it's fundamental analysis, but at least knowing what the company does, what sector they're in, where they can potentially get revenues, where Wolf to me is a lot simpler. The only thing that I could see that would cause a dramatic collapse on a move like this is if we do have some sort of collapse in Bitcoin. And even then, I still think I could probably get it around this $4 a share.
I thought that was a great question there, Adara. And thank you. Appreciate the answer there, Michael. It's so true. Like, well, at the same time, drug could possibly make a move to the upside, which has you just completely elated. You do have to treat those a little bit differently. And just as an example, BioV, BIVI was a name that was going nuts, and they dropped an offering in the middle of the afternoon, right? So like, one of the minimal fundamental analysis you can do for, I think, a lot of traders, if you're trading like really small cap names, is you can just check to see if they already have any SEC filings for offerings that they could drop at any moment, or if they have to put in the paperwork, and thus you have a little bit of time before they could drop an offering on you, whether it's days or weeks. They can't do it immediately, but every now and then you'll get a stock which they've already filed for an offering. They get a catalyst, it pops that day. Oh, they don't waste any time capitalizing on a day or two. And those are the ones you want to be careful swinging into. I'm sure over at Bright Minds, they've been hitting the paperwork so that they can take advantage of this move. It's just my guess, though.
Well, and you have to. Like, a lot of people would look at that and go, oh, this company, diluting on the back of retail. If you are a shareholder of this company and all of a sudden the company has gone from, I think it was like, a couple million shares in market cap to I see 211 on my screen. If you're an experimental drug company, you don't have a product, you technically can't sell a product because it doesn't exist yet. If you're not using this insane opportunity that just came out of nowhere to your advantage, then the CEO should be fired. So it's one of those, it's not a bad thing that they're doing it. If you really believe in the company, then it means they're going to raise more money and they're going to put it in R&D and they're hopefully going to make whatever drug it is that they're working on. But yes, if you're holding it when that announcement comes, and it will at some point, then you're in a name this crazy, you're probably going to get a 20, 30, 50% drop sometime overnight. And it's going to happen. The thing is, you can't predict it. You can't really short it expecting that's going to happen, because again, you could wake up and it could triple in price again tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. And I appreciate you going over that for everybody out there and understanding the difference between some swing trades and others. Because as a day trader, you put a stop in, like I'm gonna get out of the trade unless I misplace a stop and it goes into a halt, which it technically could happen. That's about the worst risk you're gonna have on these. Whereas it's a bit different when you do have to hold overnight, because then suddenly them dropping news is going to be a big deal to you. So appreciate that so much. And obviously, good luck on MindMed for sure, and Wolf as well. I think both of them are kind of primed to run. They've been fantastic. And thank you for sort of going over the technical analysis of Bitcoin. I feel like this is one of those breaks that everybody is looking at here. But best of luck with your trades this week. Just want to thank you again for coming on here, Michael, and I look forward to talking to you at the end of the week again.
Awesome. Look forward as well. I'll talk to you guys on Friday.
There it is. Thank you so much. The man, the myth, the legend himself, the NOS boss. The best thing about when you have someone who's a chart market technician or just someone that does technical analysis like he does, is I can put him on the spot with a chart and he has no idea that I'm going to ask him for a target on the Bitcoin breakout. And he's like, well, I got you, brother. I got you. Because that's what someone who looks at charts every single day, probably way too many, as I know he's shaking his head over there. Probably a few too many. Sometimes you should have a little bit more pumpkin pie and a little bit less charts on the weekend. No, it's all good. I love pumpkin pie. But shout out to Michael Noss. I appreciate him giving those levels out there. There was this, before we get into roll call, there was that ULY that a few people were talking about that I don't know if you were able to find anything. I guess there's still no news on this ULY that was going. It kind of was a penny stock that went non-penny stock and then right back to penny stock and is back at the dollar level. Always interesting to me when something goes to $1. But urgently moving to, was urgently moving to the upside, but there was no story?
There was no story here. They do have a market cap, from what I'm seeing, $8.75 million, just to give you guys the basics here. So small cap, 29% insider owned. We have a lot of these companies with larger percentage insider owned running as of late. Quite a few of the runners today, I know some had over 50% insider owned. So that's always, I think, worth noting. You have a little bit less of the float to access. There's a 2.6% short float. Total float here, 9.53 million shares. So again, big thing here, 9.53 million share float, $8.75 million market cap, 29% insider owned. Urgently running as of right now, but right now it's waiting for tomorrow, not too urgent.
There you go. And the days to cover, actually 5.5 days to cover. So that short float might not be big, but the days to cover is at least a little bit respectable. But you know what time it is, everybody. It's time to get into a bit of roll call. Before we do that, I got to thank everybody. We had Ramin back, joining Fabian on the ones and twos. Andre was hard at work all day. I don't even think I saw him look up pretty much, but a big shout out. We're happy to have Ramin back on the ones and twos, and she had a fantastic trip. I want to give a big shout out to Joe and Sharif on the midday. Of course, Brendo doing everything he does. My man Sean, fantastic day of trading as well. And welcome Adara back to the desk. And as we like to do around here when we're giving thanks, before roll call, we give thanks to the man, the myth, the legend, Bears versus Bulls, the best moderator out there in the business. So what you do here is you hit the like and subscribe, because if you want your name read, you got to put it in the chat. And if you want to put it in the chat, you have to be a subscriber. So make sure you hit that subscribe, throw your name out there, give a big shout out and a thanks to Bears versus Bulls when you do. And then I leave it with the best roll call artist there is in the business, Adara.
Thank you very much. Thank you to Neil. Thank you to Ramin. Thank you to Bears vs. Bulls. Thank you to everybody who can't mention so many people out here to thank. Thank you to Andrew Chow, Isaac Williams, Robbie V, Havana Woody, Ron Miller, Mui, Proper Paradox, Joe Werner, Hurry, Sebastian, CompuCare Team, Nathan Williams here, Brandon Townsend, the Others Inc., JD Burn on 20s, Daniel Jum, the Bristol, the Piper, Dollar Bill, Robert Liu, Kristen Norman, Vieros Trades, Mark L, Hey Davis, Bigly Down Under. We have MAA, Michael, Isaac Williams again here, John Von Sowers, Ari Pages, Neil again, Brandon Townsend, Paco, OR. Guys, keep putting your names in the chat. I will keep trying to read them at a rapid velocity. So happy to be back here at this desk. You know, I'll go back up. There's no names down there. We also had here Vanessa in the chat. We had RFID Trader. We had X-Domi. We had Brian Hart. We had the umpire here with Marie L. We got Marion Buford. We have Palm Trees. Good vibes. Indeed, that sounds like great vibes. Neil Rob, Smooth 1J. That looks like everybody over here. MK. Yeah, Mark, Michael, MAA again here. Doc Watson, Isaac Williams, Sebastian. And with that, Sebastian says, have a good evening. We wish you exactly that. So happy to be here with everybody once again.
Thank you very much, Darren. Thank you. We appreciate all the super chats today as well. Sebastian, I know you've been kind with those recently. Big ups to Airy Pages. Thank you so much as you guys try to get your names in at the last minute. You know what, though? The best part about it, we get to do this all again tomorrow. We're going to have Tesla earnings on Wednesday, but the chips have been running. I'm telling you, they're not going to stop. That's where everything starts and finishes with the biggest and the baddest. It was Nvidia running today. Maybe AMD can follow tomorrow. It bounced off that 50 period. But you know where you're going to find out? Right here, back bright and early at 8:30. We are Trader TV Live. And for Adara, I'm Neil. We'll see you tomorrow.